know, goldenrod makes an excellent tea.
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Aaron.
Me. You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tomic's veteran of the comic book industry for 30 years. I'm a writer, I'm an artist, and this sucks.
Tonight's episode, designed for madness.
Don't start! We haven't left yet!
She cooks nothing but chuck wagons, stew, and her name is Minerva. Ouch! She's the flower of the devoured goat.
All right, there I am. Do you see that little subliminal shot of me you got in there in between the yeah. Hey everybody. I don't know anything about time apparently. When I originally posted the banner for the show, it said it'd start at 1 o'clock. And then I said, wait a minute, that's Graybeard. That's not Aaron Live is at 4 o'clock. So I had to change the banner to 4. Then I find out that I got to pick up some medication for Shelley at the pharmacy, but it's not going to be ready till 4 o'clock. So I'm like, Judas Priest. So then I moved it to 4:30. Well, then it got ready at 3:30. So I went and picked it up. And so I'm back here by 4. And I'm like, do I really want to sit around here and do nothing for 30 minutes and start the show? No. So I started it right in the middle, give or take, at 4:14. It is right now. So that's almost 4:15, which is almost 4:30. So anyway, welcome to Aaron Live. It's Sunday, September 10th already. Man, it's going to be Christmas time before you know it. But every day is Christmas to me. Not really. I have been working 16-hour days. I'm not kidding. Like 6-7 days a week, just doing editorial crap on Wraith of God. I have not drawn, other than on Graybeards, I haven't drawn a thing for 3 weeks. Everything I've been doing has been right on this computer. Coloring Kit Carter, then getting all the extra. That's the thing you forget about, right? You're like, hey, I'm done with the book. You're like, oh, wait a minute. I got all these stretch goals that are in like partial stages of completion. I got to finish all those, the trading cards and that kind of thing. And then of course the letters page, which I'm putting in this book, and then the Empire info page with the value stamp. All that stuff has to be put together. Then it has to be proofread. Then you have to have your proofreader tell you what an idiot you are because you left out all these commas and misspelled all these words. So then you got to fix that. And then you say, okay, I'm good. Then you send it to your designer, who's also got an eagle eye for proofreading. It's like, oh, yeah, that's misspelled, or you didn't put a comma there. Why didn't you put that comma there? And you're like, geez. So I will say this. There's like 3 sets of eyes. Mine, then Christina Lynn, who proofread the book for me, and then mine again, and then Kurt Hathaway, who's putting the book together. So you would think that when the book comes out, there'll absolutely be no mistakes anywhere in this entire book. Let's hope. Anyway, so enough of me ranting and raving. Let's let you guys rant and rave a little bit. Let's see who's here. Look at this. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. And of course, Leg Kick was the first one in the door. And you know what you get for that? You get nothing but my gratitude for being here. Thank you so much. In fact, he says I'm the first, but it won't show tomorrow. It did show, and there you are. Holder 6480 is here. Squibs is here. Green Laser is here. Zombie Boy, of course, is here. Marcus Killigrew, knowledge, purveyor of knowledge of all things pop culture, is here. Daniel Russell. Shelley's here. Well, she's not here, but she's back. If you go out that door, take a right, and take another right, and then yeah. Anyway, but she's here in spirit. Past Master Dan is here once again, letting me know that he shared the link, and I appreciate it very much. Jasu is here. Leg kicks all over the place. He's saying hi to everybody. He's so friendly. Randy Hell, all the way from Canada. He says, I took a wrong turn at Albuquerque and ended up here, but I guess that's better than Hoboken.
Hoboken? Oh, I'm dying again.
Yeah, so it is better than Hoboken. Although I've been to Hoboken. Yeah, it is better than Hoboken. Although if you get farther west in New Jersey, it's all like, it's really nice and pastoral and all this kind of stuff. So you just got to get away from, like, you know, the downtown Newark and Hoboken. Hoboken's not bad, but or at least it wasn't. Of course, I haven't been there in 30 years, so what do I know? Brian Rubenacker's here. Solitary Rain is here. Wishing Shelley a good rest. Thank you for that. The Greek Avenger, also known as the Geek Avenger, is here. Christina Lynn, we just mentioned her. She's here. Randy Howell again, all the way from Canada. Dan, the Pizza Man Genovese, is here. McGregorable Jay is here. Tarks9, also from Canada, is here. Let's see who else is on there. Stippling Vaughn, thanks for joining us. Let's see, John Portland. Does everybody ever say, John, you're very important? They ever say that to you? It seems like that would probably be an old joke to you. I just thought of it though, so it's fresh in my mind. Quoth the Raven Loose, Bright Raven is here. He says, I'll be back in a minute. I got to go cook dinner. Yeah, well, I think I'm gonna grill hamburgers later tonight. We shall see. Jake Blues is here. He says, Wild Wild West is one of my favorite old shows. Robert Conrad, the original tough guy. Yes, indeed. Love that show. It's kind of like the Star Trek of the Old West. That's how I kind of looked at it anyway. Hey, let's see. Kevin Thomas is here. Murdoch is here. Nomadamun. Thank you. Thank you very much. Cole King is here. You Scared Jody. Look at that. You know, You Scare Jody is kind of our resident cryptozoologist, and I think I assume it's a guy, but maybe it's a girl. I don't know. But this person, I think I ticked off with my constant badgering of Bigfoot videos, and so then disappeared for a while. But You Scare Jody has now been back for several weeks, so glad to have you. Thank you. Because when we get to the cryptids, we always need your expert commentary. Heat Miser is here. Yeah, let's see. Do I miss anybody? Blackjack. David Bro Hawk Williams is here because with half the Graybeards on this show, he's got to be in the audience to check out and make sure we don't say anything bad about him. Yeah, that's right. How dare you assume anything? I assume nothing, and would certainly not misgender anyone unless there was a good laugh in it for me. So anyway, Gary Martin will be joining us in a little bit because we're gonna pump up his book a little bit. We're gonna talk about Wraith of God and where we're at on that, which is done until someone sends me an email going, "Oh, you missed a comma. Can you fix this?" And then let's see, and then big news, I guess. What do you call it? The early sign up for Kit Carter graphic novel is active and alive on Indiegogo. There's a link in the description of this video for all those campaigns. Of course, we'll go through them as we go along in the show. I don't want to turn the show into an infomercial, but there will be momentary lapses in the infomercial where we'll try and squeeze in just a tad bit of entertainment. So hang in there and we'll see what happens. Okay. Let's get on to the business at hand, which is usually this first, the public service announcement. So let's do that. Wasn't quite quick enough on that Frankenstein. I should just edit those two clips together, then I don't have to worry about hitting the buttons. Yeah, so if you're new here, if you're old here, if you're young at heart, and you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do that, because I am so close to 3,000 subs, which seems, compared to like Ethan or Star Wars girl Anna, or even Bigfoot Kelsey, those numbers are small, but help me grow, help me to feel important. So yeah, hit that like and subscribe if you wouldn't mind doing that. It helps the channel grow. That's what they keep telling me, and we shall see if it ever actually comes true. But now it's time for oh gosh, I almost said something. I'm glad I didn't. We'll just call it snack time.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Well, it is, of course, the return of the Asian pleasure sticks. The great thing about these Pocky is they're relatively inexpensive. And you get a whole bunch of them in here. I mean, there's just a ton in here. And they can't be that many calories, can they? No, let's see here. It says there's 1 serving per container. So they expect you to eat all of these Pocky sticks in 1 serving. And it's only 200 calories. That seems hard to believe. It says 1 serving per container, serving size 1 box. Okay. Well, little shortbread sticks dipped in chocolate. You can't beat it unless they're little shortbread sticks dipped in strawberry, which I also have those up there, but I haven't even cracked that open yet. So, tasty. All right, I see like Gary's. Gary, I went early, so we are live when I bring you in, just so you know. Well, I guess Nomadman, basically, he eats Pocky sticks all in 1 setting. So you just crack open the box and it's like that, and 200 calories. Boom. Okay. Chris is there with me. Strawberry ones are better. They are better, but I still prefer chocolate because I prefer chocolate. Kevin Thomas says, even curmudgeonly giants like Aaron, I am a giant, need love and appreciation. Hit the like button and subscribe if you ain't. There you go. All right. Well, my guest is here. Shelley's not here, so I kind of need a co-host. And why wouldn't I go and find the most acerbic person I could think of to be my co-host? There's only one person that fits that bill. That is, of course, the great Gary Martin. Let's welcome him. Hey, Gary, thanks for joining. You're looking pretty powerful today. What do you? What kind of shirt is that? Is that a? What are those little labels?
My Sunday shirt. It just has like a map on it of exotic locations.
Oh, I see. So wishful thinking for
exactly
vacations. Gotcha.
Yeah, sitting here in Vancouver, Washington, thinking about exotic locations.
Yeah, well, I do that as well. I think, wouldn't it be great to live someplace else? Any place would be better than this nice little community. Actually, the community I live in is pretty nice. It's the community that we're satelliting around that I'm not too thrilled with. Anyway.
High back to Christina.
Huh?
I'm giving Christina a high back. I have to take advantage of those when I can.
Okay. Iodine 74 says, does Lopez need love or does he just need adulation? What's the difference?
But yeah, it's the same thing.
I'll take either. Randy Howell says the other Vancouver said the Canuck. Well, that's right. There is, of course, the Canadian Vancouver, and then there's the Washington Vancouver.
Well, yeah, the Canadian is the famous one. That's what everybody thinks of.
That's true, but there's the little one right across the river here. Do you ever eat at that? What's it called? Joe's Crab Shack or something there on the river, right by the.
I
bridge?
have dined there, and they do not skimp.
No, every once in a while I crave the old seafood, and I think, but do I really want to drive all the way over there? But my daughter used to. There's like a Hilton, I think, right past the river, right there in downtown Vancouver, and she used to have dance competition. There a lot, and so I'd drive by that Joe's Crab Shack and go, I need to stop there. I need to stop. We finally did once, and it was pretty good. So, but just
Well, yeah, any restaurant that serves grub in a bucket, sign me up.
Thumbs up, baby. All right, Gary. We have a lot of features on this show. I know you watch regularly, but we have a lot of features on the show. One of them was the rights and image of the day. Well, last week was the 100th rights and image of the day. So I did this sort of rights and celebration episode, and it was all rights. And so I'm like, what do I have left to show of rights? And I've shown everything. And, we did a big celebration last week. So I think it's time. I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but I think it's time to move on. And so we have a new artist of the day, and since we're going to return again back to my roots, and now that I'm done with Wrightson, we're going to go back to before Wrightson there was Frazetta. So today is actually day one of the Frazetta image of the day. Now I think you know what this is, but we'll discuss it a little bit after I show this. So watch your monitors at home. Actually, I don't know what year that was. I didn't look it up, so I just thought that's about 53 neighborhood. It looks. Now you know the story on that, right?
Didn't he do that as a comic strip proposal?
Yes, that's like a newspaper strip,
right?
And there's a whole series of like this plane crashes, in the surf, and then she comes out of the, and there's just several really beautiful panels of her and all these incredible rock formations and stuff and the water. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't even know, I'm going to show some more of them in coming weeks, but I don't even know how you could, maybe back in the golden age of newspaper strips, they could be picky, but it's like, how do you turn that down when someone brings that in? You're like, I don't care what this is about. It looks so great.
You can see how they think, though. They're going to say, okay, what's your story? And he said, what do you mean story? It's a babe and rock formations. And then say, get out of here. But obviously when you look at the artwork, you can't even imagine them saying no. So I'm wondering if he even got a meeting, that he called them up and said, hey, I have this proposal. And then they say, well, what is it about? Well, it's about a blonde babe and some rock formations. Nah, we're going to pass.
It's probably true, because I didn't know Frazetta. I never met him, but you can just picture him kind of being like kind of arrogant and saying,
right.
What do you mean? Look at this beautiful.
Exactly. What do you mean? But if that's a comic strip, so it was like, was it going to be like a, some kind of Robinson Crusoe kind of motif?
Is
just her being on this island? Is that the entire?
you got to think, knowing Frazetta, that this plane crashes. This girl's the only survivor. There's a jungle full of cavemen and dinosaurs, probably.
Okay,
and
say no more. All right.
Yeah, and then she becomes like Jungle Girl or something, right? I mean, don't you think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
probably?
Okay. All right. Okay, you're thinking like Frazetta would think. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, absolutely. Sign me up.
yeah, exactly. I'd do that. In fact, maybe I'll rip that off and do my own version of it.
Actually, that's a pretty good premise. And then that dress, that white dress or whatever color it is, has to get skimpier and skimpier.
Sure,
as
she gets torn and tattered, and it becomes her
Right,
little cave
exactly.
girl outfit, right? Oh my gosh, yeah, I think we may be
You
onto
got
something
something there. I think you got something there.
there. Okay, well, you've got something too, and you launched a book on Graybeards just this past week called Black Lines Matter.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry, Brush with Destiny, and
I'm changing it to Black Lines of Destiny.
there you go. You incorporate both of them. Look at the disrespect I get. It's just called taking advantage of your opportunities. That's what it is.
Well, Aaron fleshed that out. I mean, so far, all Frazetta showed us was the water and the rocks.
That's right.
The rest
I'm
of
the one
it
who came up
about
with
the
the good
jungle and all, jungle apes and all that stuff. That's all pure Lopresti.
That's right. So I could be like, who was that guy? Was it L. Sprague de Camp or whatever that finished all those Robert E. Howard unfinished novels?
Those Conan stories, yeah.
That's me. It's going to be Frank
Aaron
Frazetta.
Sprague Lopresti.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get Sarah Frazetta to sign off on it, and I'll be on my way. So, the more I think about this, the better it sounds.
It does.
Write this down.
It does.
Anyway, so let's take a look at your campaign real quick. We'll do that periodically throughout the show. I warned people we're going to do a little bit of infomercializing.
Yeah, my goal is to get one backer during your show.
We'll do it.
That's my goal. One backer. So yeah, I'm throwing the challenge gauntlet down to the chat.
I'm throwing the gauntlet down. Let's get this to 3,000 during this show. Come on, that's not that much.
No, true.
It's $15 is all. Come on, we can get this over $3,000. Well, Gary, what exactly is this? Describe this book to us.
It's a collection of artwork that I've been working on for the past decade or so. Pieces that, using techniques that I didn't do that much in my comic book career, inking other people, because I didn't have the time. Let's not get started on page rates.
Can you imagine doing work like this per panel on every page?
Yeah, I know.
No.
So it was basically, I just started, I think the Ghost Rider piece was the first one that I did of this style. And then I thought, you know what, I might be on something. And then I just kept, chipping away and adding to the collection. And then I started making prints and selling them at shows. And over a period of, 10, 12 years, I've got quite a few, over 100. And they're all either this feathering type cross-hatching or traditional cross-hatching, like this Batman piece is more of a traditional cross-hatching. If you zoom in on the Batman, you see what I'm talking about. It's layers of lines. That's basically what cross-hatching is.
Yeah, if I knew how to do that, but I don't. I don't have it open in Photoshop.
Can you do a Control Plus on your?
You know what's going to happen? I'm going to hit Control Plus. This whole show is going to blow up.
No, okay, never mind then.
No, it's not doing anything.
Okay, the Catwoman piece. Oh, never mind.
Oh, there it is.
That one has cross hatching, but it's just 2 layers. That's with more feather lines. So I control the values of the gray with making the lines thicker rather than building up layers of lines.
Right. So in other words, it's just a pain in the butt.
Exactly. It's not something I can burn through. It takes, I probably average about 2 days per piece. This one, I'm talking about Wrightson,
Yeah.
it's my reinterpretation. If you guys remember the Wrightson piece, it was all pencil, and he did it mostly, like with delicate shading, using the side of the pencil, using, building up his gray tones. And so I interpreted those into cross hatching, and this is all layers of lines. So it's like, as an example, the smoke in the background, that's 4 or 5 layers.
You didn't use white out in there for that cloud background? You just cross?
No, that's all cross hatching.
Okay.
And that probably was the hardest part of the piece, notwithstanding all the detail. Wrightson put crazy amount of detail on that giant organ.
Mm-hmm. This is called Toccata and Fugue in D minor. If
yeah, that's a famous Bach piece. Try to interpret that steam and smoke and stuff in the background was probably the hardest part, and then figure out how to do that, because a lot of his shapes were subtle.
Yeah,
it's not like I can just outline it.
Right.
It's all, the edges are defined by the gray tones.
Yeah, that I remember just being, I think that was in, first saw that, I think that was in the studio book. It was either that or a look back. I can't remember. It was one of those two.
Yeah.
They reproduced this in there, and I was just blown away. I was like, where?
Yeah, I mean, it's did he put this out as a print or portfolio piece?
I want to say Christopher Zavisa did it during that period of like the mid to late 70s when Zavisa was publishing all those prints. But it wasn't part of his series. It was just kind of a standalone thing. So I'm not 100% sure that he's the one who published it, but it is out there floating around if you can find one. Pretty amazing.
I've never seen it published anywhere in any form.
I haven't either, other than those books, but I'm almost positive there are prints of this that were made that are floating around, because what else did he do it for?
Yeah, maybe
recreation. Yeah, you don't spend, in fact, if you look in the studio book, you have that book, don't you, Gary?
I had.
Okay. Well, in the front of before each section of each artist, they have like a little, I don't know, intro page that has photographs from their section of the studio, right? And so there's like 4 or 5 photographs of Wrightson's side of the studio, and there's one where he's sitting there with like this flannel shirt on, and he has a stocking cap on and a big like yardstick.
Why am I not surprised that you have that photo memorized?
Yeah, it has a big yardstick that goes diagonally across the board, and it like would, you used to.
I remember that.
You'd paint pink pearl erasers on the edge of either one of them. You'd set it on your paper, and you'd keep your hand off the paper while you're working, so you wouldn't smudge anything, right?
Right.
Well, so he has this huge drafting table. It's like at a 90-degree angle almost. He's got this big bar running across it, and he's working on this piece.
This piece was on his drawing table.
Yeah, and it's huge. It is huge.
Well, it has to be. It has to be huge. I mean, I think this recreation is in the 16 by 20 neighborhood. But I was guessing that the original was larger than that.
Yeah, it was. It looks to be pretty big, which is. You imagine, just wonder how long it took him to do that. And I just that he would have done it. He just didn't do it for fun. You know what I mean? He did it.
Right. You don't do anything like that for fun.
Right. So he had to have done it with the intent of it being published. And so I know that there's prints of that out there, but I don't know to what capacity, what volume. Was it limited edition? I don't know. I should know that, but I don't. Anyway, back to your book. This is apparently Princess Leia. Now, how much of this did you crosshatch up here, and then you just like filled this in with black? I mean,
that corner.
Is that spray?
Yeah, it's
white
splatter.
I was like,
if you blew it up, you'd be able to see that
Okay.
it was white splatter.
Okay.
Everything else is brushwork.
Do you get uptight about trying to make on your originals to make your blacks as flat and even as possible?
Yes, I have aged India ink that I use only for filling in black because I want
So
the
it's not,
blacks to be
so the original isn't splotchy at all. It's just really
no.
smooth, even black.
It's pretty, as much as I can get without getting
Right.
ridiculous.
Right.
I try to make the black as dark as I can.
There's a little Gal Gadot. You got the original Gal Gadot over in the right-hand column for sale, and then another illustration.
Yes,
here.
I have a few pieces of original art for sale, and
Helen
if I sell any, I'll put more up.
And Helen Slater, and then what's her face from that Star Wars thing.
You're not going to
attempt
her name.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys, this is just how many pages did you say this was?
Right now it's 112.
Okay. So, and it's 8x10 book. So it's a good sized book. This is going to be paperback.
And I'm thinking too, that could be a stretch goal, possibly to make it hardback I haven't crunched the numbers yet, but that's something I'm considering.
Okay. So, this book is almost completely done. You said you only have a couple pieces that you need to finish.
Right.
So you're not going to be waiting like 6 to 8 months to get this book when the campaign.
No, this campaign is only 2 months, and then probably however long it takes to print and ship a book after that. I don't know, maybe another month and a half after that.
Yeah. So we won't be waiting long for this, guys. So get in there and back at the link again is in the description of this video. So make sure you check that out. Paul Taylor here for $10 Canadian. Thank you so much, Paul. Paul, of course, is our resident biologist. Says, okay, Gary, it's against my better nature backing a black and white book, but for you, I'm making an exception. Hail CG.
Paul,
hi, Aaron.
What's your beef about black and white?
He was in the chat, I think it was last week, and we were talking about, black and white work. It might have been in on Graybeards. I can't remember. And he was like, it all looks better in color. Crump, 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 crump. Everything comics are better in color. So he's apparently anti-black and white, but he's going to make an exception for you. So I think that's pretty nice. He's going out.
Okay. Out I've had a couple of my pieces where I post them and people like, can I color this? And sure, go to town. And I've yet to say, well, this looks better. Most of the artwork that I do in black and white, most of the artwork I do in black and white is not meant for color. And some black and white pieces were not meant to be colored.
Well, here's the thing, and don't get me started on colorists, but you need to really do an understated coloring job. If you're gonna do something, you're gonna color something that's this line heavy. You can't go in and say, "Oh, that's a shadow."
Yeah.
Layering in, make the shadows deeper and darker. Right. It's almost flat color with a little bit of highlights.
You really have to know what you're doing, and you can't try to make a statement with the color.
Right.
Yeah. David is in the chat. Okay, there you go. Yeah.
You are a scholar. Don't let anybody tell you different, my good man. So David, apparently, he's all about the color as well. There he says,
David has taken that plunge. Everything he's doing now is color.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing with David. I love talking behind his back when he's listening. But the thing about David has a very, for the most part, very open animation influenced style, right?
Yes.
So there's large areas of white in there that just makes you say, put some color in this. And so, but when you're doing what you're doing here with all this intricate cross hatching and all this extra line work and detail, it's like if you took Wrightson's Creepy and Eerie work, which was highly detailed, and put color to it, it actually, I don't think it's as effective.
I think they've done that, like reprinted.
Well, the Muck Monster, they did that.
Colored, yeah, and it looks awful.
Yeah, it looked terrible. Now Paul Taylor and David are slapping each other on the back. David's a man of discerning and sophisticated taste.
Chris Chris Thacker is onto something.
Gary's stripper name for his book, Destiny Black Lines. That's good. Oh man. All right. So that's Gary's book. Let's get behind it. You guys support this. This is Gary's first campaign. Look at that. There's your one backer already.
Okay.
So,
well, yeah. So we reached my goal. We haven't reached your goal yet.
Yeah, we'll get there. Let's get this to 3,000, you guys.
And just to remind everyone, not only is this my first campaign, but this is the funding project for a graphic novel that I want to do.
There you go. So it's seed money.
Exactly. And if this isn't successful, then I'm out.
He's out, baby. Forget it.
Yeah, I won't be able to do the graphic novel. And also something that I'm highly considering is that one of the add-on type deals in my art book was copies of my inking book. And the inking book, I only had about 8 copies.
Sold out. There it is.
It sold out the first day.
Yep.
So I'm thinking there might be an audience out there for me to do a fundraiser for the inking book.
That wouldn't be a bad idea, because there's a lot of you find that there's an audience out there for art books, but there's a real ferocious audience for art technique books. And I mean, that's your book on inking is sort of the quintessential book on inking. And the fact that you have so many people that contributed to it, and you got so many different sort of viewpoints and opinions on how to approach something, and then your commentary that goes with it. It was really a well-conceived project way back in the day when you were working on that. Let me take care of Paul real quick here, though. We've got a problem. There we go.
Thank you.
Get that out of the way.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Marcus Killigrew says, I have the inking book from years ago.
Well, Marcus, that's good, but it's been updated. And lots of new material in the latest version. And if I do another printing of it via fundraiser, there also will be additional material.
Wow.
And I'm thinking that if I keep the print run low, then it could be cost effective. If I keep it down to, like 200-300 copies, because it's a 200+ page book, plus it has those Bristol board blue lines.
Oh, that's right.
It's an expensive book to print.
And Dark Horse originally published that for you, right?
Yeah, and so I'm thinking probably the cover price for that would probably be around $50. So it is a specialized type of deal.
Repairman Jack says, I'm not watching football just to watch this. That's how much I like Gary's inking.
Well, yeah, none of us are watching football now, so we're all. It's the first day.
Paul just won't let it go. I wasn't exactly spreading state secrets. Aaron often calls himself grumpy on Kings. It's one thing for me to admit that I'm grumpy. It's another thing for you to pile on. See, that's where
Yeah, that's right. He can call himself grumpy, but
but you risk retaliation when you call a grumpy woman grumpy.
So if you catch Aaron at a restaurant after a show, do not call him grumpy.
You got some stuff here you want to share. Do you want to do that right now?
It's up to you, man.
Well, let's take a look at it. Oops. There it is. Is this some of the stuff that's in the book?
Some of this is in the book. I think this one will be in the book. I can't remember. I've done several I'm trying to think how many, maybe 25 Dave Stevens recreations.
Really?
Over
So
the-
do you
over
think
the
he's
years.
like your most popular request? Is it Dave Stevens?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
And I did several kind of collage type covers of taking several of his images and creating a fantasy magazine. So this client thought it would be cool to actually have a Dave Stevens pulp magazine. And so this features Doc Savage, The Shadow, and Rocketeer. So that's the client came up with a clever idea.
That's really, really cool. Now, how much of a pain in the butt was doing that lettering, like that Rocketeer lettering? Did you drop that in, or you
No, that's all hand done. Hold on a second. Let me close a window that's nearby me.
Yeah, he's it's not like it's live TV or anything. Let me take the time here to Chris Thacker for $10. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that very much. Already back the first day and purchased another copy of your inking book. Had the other two already. Idea, perhaps some smaller cost Wise art pieces for sale. Excited to see more of your work, Gary. There's Chris. So do you got any more? You got any smaller, more affordable pieces for the Kmart crowd?
You mean like 8x10 prints? Is that what he means?
No, he's like original art, but just smaller pieces that might be in that $200 to $300 range, I would guess.
I don't do anything less than 11x17, although that is an add-on in the campaign that I'm offering $100 ink pieces on 8x10.
Oh, okay.
That is in the campaign.
Proofreader editor says, I was watching Eagles and Patriots. Eagles were way up on the Patriots last night. So I like both teams since they have quarterbacks from Alabama. Oh, brother.
Yeah, who's Christina? Can you give us a score update every once in a while?
Yeah, keep us updated on the score.
Anytime someone.
Okay, let's take. I want to see that Doc Savage one that's right below there.
Okay. Hold on a second. Where we got here. So here's another.
Dude, I'd put these in the book, man.
I think one of these is going in the book. I can't remember which one. I think it might be this one. Again, I think this is the same client who came up with the idea of the Rocketeer being in. And so there's like 5 or 6.
So you just took
images from different,
right, varying Dave Stevens Rocketeer images and put them together on the cover. I love that. I love the like the Doc Savage magazine logo and all that kind of stuff up there.
Yeah, and again on the original, this is all hand lettered on the artwork.
He did a much nicer job inking your hand drawn title logos than I did. I did one for the nightclub on the Tales of. Well, I'll get to it in a minute, but I had to go back in, and as I was getting ready to send it to the designer to put together the cover files, I was looking at it close up, and I go, the lines were jaggy. It was just terrible. So I had to go in and fix it in Photoshop so it actually looked clean. I was like, oh man.
Well, lettering, I have to tip my hat to professional comic book letterers that do logos and titles and stuff like that. It's not something you can skimp on. You have to get out, your straight edges and templates and all that stuff. And any little tiny misline, it's noticeable.
Yep.
It has to be perfect.
Yep.
And so it's a pain. It really is.
Yep, I agree.
You ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's see the love comic here.
All right.
Saucy.
You'll share every kiss, every tear.
Is that an actual line from like
yeah, it's from a
old Marvel romance book or something?
And I think it's from Our Love Story. I can't remember. The client is the one that asks for these specific texts on here. He came up with the dialogue for this piece.
Now, where'd you get the blonde that Cliff Secord is hugging?
That's one of Dave's babes that I just plopped the head on to a bit. If you remember that panel from Rocketeer where Cliff is hugging Betty.
Yeah.
So I just took a different Dave Stevens female and put her head on Betty's shoulders.
How many girls sit around on their bed in their lingerie talking on the phone?
Yeah, I think you don't want to go down that path, Aaron. Don't start thinking about. So we can leave it there, and then later we can come back and look at some of my other recreations.
Okay. Sounds groovy. All right. I got people asking me football questions now. Not anymore. I'm just kind of a general fan. I watch, if there's a good game on, I'll watch it. I used to be a Steelers fan when I was a kid. But not having any sort of ties either locally or to any place my folks are from. That's why I'm a Nebraska fan, is my dad's from Nebraska and he raised me on it. And Blazers fan because they're right here in Portland, which I grew up around. So, but NFL, there's no NFL team. So it's kind of like you sort of like pick one who has some players you like, and then that's your favorite team until those players leave. And then, or, when I was a kid, I was like, I loved the simplicity of the Baltimore Colts uniforms, and the horseshoe on the helmet. So I was a Colts fan for a while. So, and I like Johnny Unitas.
Uniforms.
Huh?
Because you like the uniforms.
Yeah. I'm still that way. I went to USC, Gary, and I don't like USC football because I can't stand their uniforms.
Well, speaking of grotesque uniforms, how about them Ducks? The ugliest uniforms in football, bar none.
But they're cool and styling, Gary, for the younger generation.
Grab a Webster's and look up ugly.
There's the picture.
Yeah.
Hey, I hate all things Ducks. My wife went to Oregon State. I went there 1 year, and my son went to Oregon State. So they're my secondary fallback team is the Beavs. So anyway, enough about football. That's one way to lose an audience on this channel.
Yeah.
Pretty darn quick.
Sorry, we'll get back to the babes.
Yeah. Let's take a look at my campaign real quick. Here's the deal on this. I've been celebrating for over a week that I was done with the book, and then I'll get some sort of proofread or.
I was going to say, and then Christina got her mitts on it, and
my designer that's putting the book together, he's really good at that stuff too. And then if Christina sends me notes and then I make the changes, but maybe I don't make them right. You think you did, and then this guy catches them, and then it comes back to me, and then I have to fix it again. So I think I'm done. But I have, Gary, for 3 weeks, and I'm not kidding. I haven't drawn anything except on Graybeards. I've been on the computer for 3 weeks, finishing up coloring Kit Carter, then doing all this production work or post-production, whatever you call it. I guess production work on the book. Is that
one of those 1 step forward, 2 steps back kind of deals?
It is, because you celebrate. You're like, I just finished the last page, and if you're working for somebody else, you put it in a FedEx box, and you scan it, and you're done.
Right.
And then a couple months later, the color book shows up.
You can't lie there late at night thinking about it. Yeah, it's
exactly. And so I celebrate, hey, I'm done. Then I'm like, wait a minute, no, I'm not. Now I got to do all this. And so now I'm having my second round of celebrating that I'm done, because everything is with the designers. So unless he sends me something and I catch something, which I always do, right? I have made my letterer on Wraith of God probably fix 5 or 6 times because I changed the script or changed my mind about something. Just a couple of words here and there, fix this. He's probably pulling his hair out at this point. But anyway, the book is done. It's scheduled to go to the printers next week on Thursday, I'm hoping. In case you don't know what this is it's sort of a Western, what is definitely a Western, but sort of a Batman of the Old West as a monster hunter. Esther is his companion. She is sort of his Alfred. They hunt monsters together, but their relationship's a bit tenuous. In this, in the first graphic novel, they hunted down some werewolves, and in this one, it's a Nosferatu-style vampire and his Hammer brides, or his brides from Hammer films. He was sort of inspired by that.
He gets his dates from the Hammer matchmaker.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, those Hammer vampire films, every single one of those women are in nightgowns all the time.
And and you have to admit, they were all extremely attractive. I don't know where.
Oh, yeah, of course, that was the selling point
of actresses that they drew from, but they were all, you know, like
these sheer white gowns,
yeah,
you know,
they were the typical.
Never had regular clothes on. So these girls in this comic, that's all they have on is the nightgowns from the Hammer films. So.
Wandering around in their underwear in a graveyard at midnight.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going on. But the thing about this comic is, Gary, this thing is 108 pages. And you've got a Garbage Man backup story. So it's the first Garbage Man story since the Garbage Man trade paperback, colored by Dan Lawless. You've got
that's the one, the Walking Zed, right?
Yeah, Night of the Living Jed.
Jed.
Night of the Living Jed. Yeah,
I love that name.
These are the other thing. I'm going to step back just a second because of the order these pictures are in. But I had to do all the trading cards too. I forgot about. Oh yeah, I got to do the backs. You know, you got the artwork done for the front, but then it's like, oh wait a minute, there's all that information on the back. So I had to do those for all the cards, and that's some of the stuff I've been working on. But you get a Kit Carter card. You get a Dan Lawless Wraith card.
Are you like me that you're visual, and so when you're designing a character, it's all visual? It'd be cool if she had this, and
yes,
you know, borrow a Hollywood air pipe, and you know, and then you think, I have to write her backstory.
Yeah. Right. And why does this person have this? Yeah, I mean, I gave like Garbage Man this big, huge arm just to give him something different visually, and then I had to figure out what it was and why it was, kind of thing. You know, after I did it.
Yeah, why does he have a big arm?
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, see, these are the 3 trading cards you get, and this Queen of Hearts trading card. This all comes free when you back the campaign. There's Adam Miller's. He won the art contest, so his book is a pinup, or his picture is a pinup in the book.
He better have won with that piece. That piece is amazing.
Yeah, he did a really nice job on it. We had some great entries. It was really tough to choose because there was some. I mean, this is really complex and beautiful and all that kind of stuff. But there was some ones that are more simple and straightforward that were really effective and well designed. And so I had a tough time choosing. I really did.
Hold on a second.
What?
I'm sorry, I just caught this in the chat. Blackjack says, "Why does it say AARP above Aaron's head?" All right, I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. All right, so that's just, you derailed my whole presentation. Take care of that.
Okay, so how many different covers do you have for this?
I have 4. I got Simon Bisley to do a painted cover, which I bought the original artwork from him, and it's hanging on the wall back there. Not cheap, but cool. I got the wraparound cover that I did.
The wraparound.
Yeah. And then there's a Tales of Suspense tribute cover, which is one of my favorite Silver Age titles. And then the Tomb of Dracula #1 tribute cover that Neil Adams, of course, immortalized back in 1972. Some people were reminding me, hey, don't put #1 up there. This is the 2nd issue. So those have been changed. And, Okay, so
it's so easy to these little tiny mistakes that a bunch of people can look at and all miss. I think in the description of, like, the opening description in my campaign, it says I use traditional tools like Bush and India ink.
no one caught the brush.
I didn't. It was there for like a week. I didn't catch it. The proofreader didn't catch it. Somebody who was backing the campaign said, "Oh, by the way, you use a Bush to ink with."
I know. It's like you need like 5 or 6 proofreaders, and then even stuff just slips by.
Yeah,
There it
this
is.
is the page that I'm talking about. Yeah, I love this. I love everything about it.
Thanks. Dan Lawless, of course, did the coloring on this story. And then you've got a nightclub story, which is this kind of monster team or creepy, weird team, modern day team. Somehow they have some sort of mysterious connection to the Wraith. So this is their first solo story. They, of course, their first appearances in the Garbage Man trade paperback. So if you haven't read that, get a copy. They are available through this campaign because you'll want that for backup reading for this stuff. So Kelsey Shannon colored this. Matt Ryan inked it.
Matt, his inks on your stuff is really terrific. I really like that combination of you guys teaming up.
Yeah, I found him working at CrossGen, and we teamed up there, and he had that sort of, it was like he inked exactly like I ink, except better. So I thought this is so I always knew exactly what I was getting, Then we have 14 pages of Kit Carter. These were all originally designed to be online weekly strips, like newspaper strips, online weekly strips. And so you get the first 14 of those in this book. And I call each one an episode because I want to treat them kind of like a 50s serialized, sci-fi thing. And so it's all one part of a larger continuity, but there are, sort of gags within each page kind of thing. When I do the graphic novel, which we'll get to in a second, that's all going to be straight comic book narrative. It won't be presented in the same way that these newspaper type strips are. But anyway, all this stuff is in this 108-page book. You can get the limited edition signed and number print. I just signed those last night. My shoulder's killing me. And that's not a gag. I mean, that's true. I'm like, how old am I? I signed, 300 of these things.
You're writing your name and your shoulder is hurting. Not your wrist, not your forearm, your shoulder.
I know. Because I don't know. Then the Wraith of God Roughs Volume 2. I've got, what did I do with it? I had it sitting here. Oh, I know.
So why didn't you finish inking this piece?
What's that?
Did you just scan this mid-ink, and is it completely inked?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that you just abandoned this and didn't finish.
No. This is the cover, the wraparound cover, and I was thinking, what am I going to use for that Roughs cover? And I thought as I was inking this, I was like, that might be kind of cool to kind of show this, because the Roughs thing is supposed to be a process book. You get 48 pages of layouts basically from the book. This is what the first one was the Wraith of God Roughs Volume 1. And these are all signed and numbered limited editions. So the orders, this goes to print based on the orders I get. So there's not going to, I'll print a little bit over in case stuff gets damaged, but there's not going to be extras of these left for very long if you don't order it as part of the campaign.
I'm noticing you're very systematic. You're not, this dude's face and then that woman's arm and then the gun. I mean, you, as an example, you finished the shirt sleeve that's being pulled on the right. So you're just like, oh, I got to finish this shirt before I ink his jacket.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
very systematic.
Yes. I guess if that's how I maintain a sense of control over the art. I always like to feel like I know where I'm going,
No, I do the same thing, but I do areas. I'll start at one area.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to ink like from the bottom up, so I'm not dragging my hand on pencils.
Yeah. Well, I'm not that smart, but anyway, you guys, the link is in the description of this video for this campaign. And the reason I bring it up is obviously I'm selling it, but the other reason is this thing is going to be shutting down. This thing's going to be shutting down in a week.
Let's not overlook the main reason.
The main reason is I want you to buy it. But the other reason is there's not much time left. Okay. It's about a week. This should be going to the printer on Thursday. Knock on wood if I got any wood.
Okay. So yeah, you're right there.
Yeah. So it's not gonna be open much longer. So if you haven't ordered, get on there and tell your friends and family and the whole 9 yards.
You realize what I'm expecting from the chat is that when this campaign is over, my campaign better skyrocket.
That's right. I'm distracted.
Won't have an excuse.
Exactly. Well, speaking of excuses, though, let me show one more thing here. I told you guys it's infomercial central here for a few minutes. This is now up and live. Now, this is the best campaign you can find because it doesn't cost you anything. I'm just looking for signups. Early signups for Kit Carter Planet Doom graphic novel. So Kit Carter and Merv the Astro Chimp. And they're
Is this the email sign up?
What's that?
Email info sign up?
Yes.
I think when this show's done, I'm going to sign up for this.
Good. That's what I like to hear. And you know what you get? If you actually sign up and order, you're going to get a David Williams trading card. And it says so right there. Sign up and get an exclusive trading card by David Williams.
So, okay, hold on a second. Let me get this straight.
Yeah.
So if I sign up for this email list, I get a David Williams trading
Well, you got to
card?
order. You have to actually order the book when the campaign goes out.
Oh, I see. So you have to sign up an email list and then order the book.
That's right. And then you're going to get this David Williams card that you will only get if you sign up early, or you'll be able to get them, but you have to pay like $5 for them. And it's much better to get them for free. So just sign up early. That's all you have to do. Type in your email address, and that's all you have to do. So anyway,
I'm very interested in this graphic novel project because I'm doing a Lost in Space, Babe Lost in Space type graphic novel, and I'm extremely interested in what I can steal from you.
Okay. Well, I think yours is probably straight up adventure drama, right? I mean, this is a comedy.
It's mostly drama, and it's kind of set in the near future. So it's not like some blonde chick zooming around the universe in her misadventure.
Yeah,
that's not what this is.
No. So, but that's what this is. And so I've had people bugging me since I created this character over a decade ago, and I've had people bugging me for over 10 years to do something story-wise with this character. So you're going to get the first appearance of Kit Carter in the Wraith of God book, but then her first solo adventure will be this graphic novel. And it's going to be an 8.5 by 11 graphic novel, like Marvel's graphic novel series from the 80s, how they used to do those. That's exactly what this is going to look like. So sign up for this.
Citizen Ronan says that mine will be highbrow. That's I couldn't describe it better.
That's right. Gary's is going to be very intellectually stimulating. Mine is going to be very lowest common denominator. So
this will sell better. Yeah, Aaron's by far.
Did you want to share those Mooka things during the show, or are they just back there? Or are you going to wait till Graybeards?
No, we can share them.
We'll in a little bit. We'll in a little bit. Hang on to them because people are asking about those. So, and they look like you finished them, right?
Yes, they are done.
All right. Enough of the salesmanship. So all this stuff, the links are in the description of this video, and we'll revisit Gary's campaign throughout the show. But that's all I'm going to show you of mine. I just want you guys to be aware.
Softcover or hardcover?
What's that?
Is it soft cover or hard cover?
Both.
You
have the option. My cover will be a limited edition signed and numbered hardcover, and then the regular edition paperback, I have a guest artist. It's done. I'm not revealing who it is yet until I launch the campaign.
So what's that chimp's sidekick? What's his name?
Merv the Astro Chimp.
Merv. Okay, Merv. So is there going to be a Merv scratch and sniff add-on?
No, I'm going to do color forms though. You know, so you can like. You remember those things where you used to like you'd get like different outfits and they would stick over the top of the.
Oh yeah.
Like Batman would be standing there, but he'd have like a different bat suit that would go. You just like stick it in kind of puffy. Yeah, color forms.
Yeah,
that's the old school video games we used to have back in the day.
Yeah, give us some sharp scissors and leave us alone in our rooms.
And let us run around and we'll be fine. No, it's not a Kelsey cover. It's bigger than Kelsey, if you can believe that. I go for the biggest names I can talk into. Not that Kelsey isn't great. Kelsey is great. You know, but
I like the qualifier. The biggest names you can talk into working for you.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I pay them their rates, though, you know, but it's like, you know, people still have fear of Comicsgate. So, you know, that makes it difficult. You have to find the right guy. But anyway, in this case, I did. And you guys will be thrilled with it. It's really killer. Were you there after Graybeards when I shared it?
What are we talking about?
The cover for Kit Carter that I had the guest artist.
No.
You must have dipped out because I showed it to Kelsey and David.
I did not see that.
Oh, Christina says I hit the 3K subs. Yay! Thank you guys. Appreciate that. I don't know what that means, but it means something to me right here.
It sounds impressive, whatever it is.
That's right. I've got 3,000 subs, whatever it means. Marcus Killiger is reminding me, you revealed the inker on Graybeards. Yeah, I guess I did, but I'm revealing it again.
Yeah, well, the cat is out of the thing.
Yeah, Matt, he was like, I don't care. Go ahead and tell everybody. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want you to get hassled just in case. But I mean, at this point, the book's coming out, so you can only keep
coming out. Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So Gary, let's keep this show rolling. I've got a couple things I like to do on here. One of which is share my comic collection. So you might get a kick out of this. You like comics?
Is this something you've had for a while, or a recent?
No. This is like my old comic collection. People are like, "What have you got? What have you got?" So I kind of go. I don't show everything, but highlights, and we're going alphabetically.
Hold on a second. What do you mean, people?
I mean, people in the chat.
People ask you about your collection.
People in the
plural.
Chat. People, more than one person.
More than one person has asked you about your collection. I'm just trying to.
Okay. Exactly. So we have this little intro we run. So let's do that. Dun, dun, dun,
okay, that was impressive.
That's the shortest intro, though. I need longer music. It just ends too quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to switch cameras really quick here because it actually works a little bit better. You know, it would work better if I actually had the camera plugged in. That's next level techno stuff there. Okay. Now it's plugged in. All right. Okay, so we're into those weird, I'm going to go full screen, Gary, but
okay,
you'll still hear you breathing. I like to go, we're into those, I think O, P, Q, and R, which you're going to get some weird titles. The first one up here is, remember this one?
Remember what I said a few minutes ago about you being systematic?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that the weirdest cover you've ever seen?
Dude,
with those limbs coming out of that box. I mean, I thought that was, when I first saw that, I thought that was bizarre.
So did
but
I.
It's Kirby, you know, so.
Right. And this was, I think, like 72 around there. And did you ever have Kmarts? Well, you had Kmarts when you lived up here before they went out of business, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We used to go to Kmart and they have these like little packages of like 3 comics in a bag. And some kids, not me, would go in and rip those things open. So there's, like, so some of them were loose, right? And this was one of them that was in the bag. And I remember opening this up, and that chick in the box, she's like some sort of android thing, freaked me out. And it was like,
well, I mean, look at that.
What is going on?
I mean, that is super creepy. And OMAC is chucking it, at you.
Yeah. Yeah. Leave it to Kirby. Anyway, so that's like a nice 9.4 copy. These actually are worth over $100 now. They finally sort of caught a little steam. Now, do you remember this obscure character?
Omega
the Unknown.
I remember the image. I didn't read it, but I do remember the character.
I picked it up because it was a first issue, right? And
according to the cover, it's the most fantastic first issue of all.
Of course it is. Look at this kid down here in the hospital bed. He's reading his Spider-Man comics. And then Omega
didn't notice that. Yeah. And he's being molested by this android dude. Who's this guy? Purple dude?
Yeah.
He's in the hospital. What kind of joint is this? He's in the hospital trying to, recuperate. And what's the blurb above this? What does it say above his head?
It says, the last survivor of an alien world alone against a horde of steel assassins.
Okay, so he's part of a horde of steel assassin in the hospital molesting this poor kid who's just trying to read comics.
Oh, anyway, make mine Marvel, baby.
Yeah.
Then, of course, speaking of Dave Stevens, this is the first appearance right there of Rocketeer. And Pacific Presents #1 also has a Ditko story in there.
Yeah.
2 big features, 32 pages for only $1. This was kind of a fun time, that sort of early to mid 80s when the indie market sort of exploded.
That was my first ever exposure to Dave Stevens. I told you that story of Mark Beecham wanting me to ink him like Dave Stevens.
Yeah, and you're like, who's Dave Stevens?
Who's Dave Stevens? So I went to the comic book shop, and this was still on the stands. I think maybe the second one had come out by then. It was still on the stand, so I pick it up and I look at it, and I was like, who the hell is this dude? It's like, and how come I've never heard of him? Why is he so good? Because I always thought anyone with any credibility in art, in terms of comic art, will have worked for Marvel or DC.
Right.
And Dave had not at that point. And so that's why I didn't know who he was, because
I had no clue either until I saw this stuff. And I was just like,
I was a snob. And it's like, this guy, has not worked for Marvel or DC. Who does he think he is? And then you look at the artwork and then it's like, okay, I moved to New York from California to get into comics. I'm ready to move back home.
All right. Well, how about this one? I pick
Neil Adams, right?
Oh, heck yeah. I'm not a Phantom Stranger fan necessarily, but I do collect the Neil Adams covers, at least the ones
how clever is that? The Phantom Stranger is like this white silhouette in the background. The lead character of the comic is pushed in the background so he could draw this cool swamp creature.
Yep. And look at the girl. She just is clueless.
Yeah, she has no idea. And what are they doing?
Yeah,
dating. They're dating in the swamp.
I know. Who goes for a picnic in the swamp? They're laying in the dirt. They don't even have a blanket.
That's right. Yeah, they're on the shore. Her hair's almost in the water. This must be maybe this is like early Kelsey days.
I was going to say, this is exactly what Kelsey would do. Take a girl out to the swamp. Oh, but a great cover.
Kelsey, you're such a big spender.
All right. Now, you remember these?
Oh, absolutely. There's a Wrightson story in that.
There is. The frog leg story is in this. And so issue number 1 with this weird Basil Wolverton cover, and then number
I know.
5.
I mean, weird is
Who
not doesn't
writes
even
the story in it?
weird doesn't do it justice. I mean, how does someone have those kinds of images floating around in their being? That's just baffles me.
Basil Wolverton was weird.
Yeah, he was.
But this has, in my opinion, 2 of the best color Wrightson stories. The first one in here, and this is the frog leg story with that, that big fat guy that eats
Right.
frog legs, and frogs
Yeah.
come and get him with
Yeah,
crutches.
a brilliant story.
But if you get issue number 5, it has, I think the artwork's even better in the 5th issue. The story's not as famous, but so there's, Wrightson did issues 1 and 5, and these are dirt cheap, but
Yeah.
great stuff. Sergio Aragone's stuff in here. A lot of fun. Okay, now check this out. We're into the Qs. I only have one book that starts with a Q, and it's Quack number 1. And this
So does that have the Bruner
Yep.
Howard ripoff in it?
Yep. And it's by Gerber and Bruner, just basically doing Howard the Duck.
Okay. What I remember is that the Steve Lealoha duck stories that came in following issues of Quack were far superior to the Bruner story.
Really?
Yes, they're amazing.
I haven't seen those. So they're like in the subsequent issues of Quack.
Yes, he did. I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember. I think he did more than one, and they were a master class in inking. They were just amazing.
I'll have to dig some of those up and check them out. Then, of course, back to the 70s, Joe Kubert's Ragman came out.
Redondo.
Was it Redondo in here?
Yes.
So it's just the Kubert cover and Redondo on the inside.
Redondo, Ragman. He did a couple of Ragman stories, I think. Help me out in the chat.
Well, Marcus,
I'm pretty sure Redondo did the story in here.
Okay. Well, I'd actually have to open it up, which I won't do because this is
you won't.
high grade. But let's see here.
Yeah, Postmaster Dan confirms it.
You Scared Jody says that was Kelsey's Ultimate Fantasy, the one with the guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. His date on the swamp.
Pretty sure that's how Kelsey was born on the bayou. So to speak.
Okay, that's even better. Kelsey's parents. Brilliant.
Oh, okay, here we go. Marcus Killer was saying didn't Kubert do the layouts? That's very possible.
Kubert did a lot of layouts for Redondo. Like
So
the Bible Treasury, those are Kubert layouts.
Yes. What a great that's a great book. Just the artwork in it, it's amazing. Now, check this out. Red Sonja number 1. Frank Thorne, remember him?
I was not a Frank Thorne fan.
Me either, but he was a thing, though, for sure.
Oh yeah, he was, and I don't know if it was because of people, were into his artwork or because it was Red Sonja.
That's a good
come
question. Well, you can't think of anything else he did, right? I mean, did he do anything else? I mean, I know he did.
He had his own thing, some kind of wizard story, I think. Or was that, I remember he used to dress up like a wizard when he would go to Comic-Cons.
Right, and Wendy Penny would dress up as Red Sonja.
Right.
The good old days.
So maybe that's the marketing tool that I have not utilized, to hire someone to dress up like Red Sonja and hang around my table at a convention.
Well, if I had the money, I'd do it because it brings the patrons over. I can guarantee you that.
I'm sure it would.
Do you remember that model, that beautiful model we had for Mantra in the Ultiverse booth?
Yes.
There was guys lining up to get pictures with her.
Oh yeah, we went out to dinner with her.
That's right. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, she was very nice.
Yeah.
She wouldn't answer my phone calls, but she was very nice.
Everybody's saying yes, Kubert layouts. So there was Kubert layouts, Redondo finishes over Ragman number 1. Now here's an obscure book that sort of gained some value here recently, and that's Red Wolf #1 because of that black.
That is a great Gil Kane cover. I mean, just look at this the extreme images in the foreground drawing you into, and you know that clutching hand. That's like a Gil Kane trademark.
Yep. Big characters, big centralized image that draws your focus in. And the insides of this were Sid Shores inked by Severin, John Severin.
Oh, really?
So
who inked? Do you know who inked this cover? Is there a credit?
That's Severin.
It looks polished.
It's Severin.
Severin? Okay.
John Severin ink that I can tell by looking
Wow,
at it.
Severin on Gil Kane. I don't think I've ever seen that.
No.
Can you think of that? Of seeing that before?
No. Now that you bring it up, I don't think I have. Because I never even thought about it until I looked at it and went, that's John Severin ink this. And he worked on the insides too, but it was over Sid Shores.
I'm going to have to Google this and study this cover because I don't remember ever seeing that.
It's really it took me forever I mean, it's not that expensive of a book, you know, like less than $100, but just finding one in really, really nice shape was really difficult because of the black cover.
Well,
and
look at that Colt 6-shooter in the foreground, how accurate that is. So that completely makes sense that Severin did that. Because you know Gil Kane did not.
Yeah. He probably just knocked it out and then Severin straightened it out. The only thing I have in the PQR areas in graded books is this copy of Power Man and Iron Fist, number 48.
Another Gil Kane, right?
Yeah, that's Gil Kane again. Not inked by Severin. John Byrne and Dan Green did the art on the inside. Gil Kane and Joe Sinnott did the cover. So Sinnott inked that. First meeting of Power Man and Iron Fist. So it's just one of those books. It's not that expensive, but it was like, yeah, a 9.4 at a good price. I'll take it. So I did. So there you go. There's my excerpt from my collection today.
Those are impressive. And an excellent variety.
I have good taste in art, Gary. I don't care what.
I wasn't alluding anything. I was just making a statement.
There was implication all over that. Okay, let's get back to business here. Let's see. Lewis Brightman says Frank Thorne also had Lawn, Gita of Alizar.
Gita, yeah. Okay, thank you.
The plant girl who runs around on a skateboard. Wow, sorry I missed that.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
What are we talking? Okay, this is all earlier stuff is all about Brunner and Kubert layouts and stuff. Kelsey's Ultimate Fantasy. See, Paul Taylor, he's got my back. Says that's what we like. Aaron's collection, lots of cool stuff to see. Yeah, we're getting into the S's next, and there's a ton of S's as you can imagine. So, all right.
Yeah, I mean, how long we were like talking about that stuff for 15 minutes, and we were just looking at the covers. Imagine if we cracked those open. I
know. Oh, well, you know, that sort of motivates me now to buy more books is because I do unboxing videos every time I get a book. And so I tell Shelley, I'm like, yeah, I got to get this book because then it gives me more stuff to do for videos. Yeah.
But
then actually,
I got to buy this. It's for the show.
That's right. And, you know, I do open those up and take a look at them because you want to make sure that, you know, there's not a page ripped out or something.
Right. Or
and
Billy
it's kind of interesting looking at the art on the insides. Okay. I have this thing called Aaron's Top 5, Gary. And you'll get this may spawn some conversation from you as well. So let's take a look at this.
Where Where do you get all this cool music for your opening things?
It's all public domain stuff.
Okay.
Man. I hope it is. It's supposed to be.
You hope it is.
All right. So what I do every week, and this is going to be my top 5. It says Golden Age comics, and it's like these are not like the most valuable Golden Age comics, but they're like 5 that I would love to have for a variety of reasons, which I guess I'll talk about as we bring them up.
Your wish list.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. If money was, I mean, obviously you'd get Action Comics #1 because it's worth millions of dollars. But if you just said, value isn't a factor, show me the 5 Golden Age books that you'd really like to have. So that's kind of how I approach this.
Did you ever play the same game that I
know what you're going to say, and yes is the answer.
Okay, well, you know what I'm going to say. When I always collected comics by artist. It was never by title. So my comics are organized by artist. And so there could be like a golden section, and it's just, his comics. So when I'm reading or looking at, as an example, a golden book, I'm always thinking of, if I could only have one piece of original art by this artist, what would it be? And as I'm going through the comic, I'm thinking, would I want this page original art? Would I want this page? And then I narrow it down. I don't read the story. That's what I'm thinking about when I'm looking at comics.
Well, that's how I look at them now. I hardly ever read them unless I wrote it. Then I think it's pretty good, so I read it. But no, I'm kidding. Unless someone says, you got to read this, this is really good, you got to read it, right? Most of the time I'll just buy books. Like if I buy a book that Alan Davis drew, I just look at the artwork. I don't even read it, I just look at the pictures.
Yeah, I'm the same way. But I still play that game of if I could own one page.
Oh, so you do it per book. So it's like out of this book, what's the one page I'd like to own?
Right. I
always kind of play this game where it's like, if I had $1 million or someone just, you won the lottery, right? And you could go buy, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to take a couple $100,000 or whatever, and out of this millions and buy an original piece of artwork, who would you get a piece from? And what would the piece be? And it's always me.
Do you ever play this game with any other thing besides comics?
I used to
I play this game and I think of, if I had unlimited resources, what would I do? And I'd buy like a mint condition P-51 Warbird, and then get my pilot's license in that order. I don't think about comic books that I buy. What comic book would I read while I'm flying my P-51?
That's how simple, what a simpleton I am. I'm like, if I had a time machine, I'd go back to 1940 and buy all these comic books off the rack. That's what I think.
I have to admit, I've thought about that too. But then my fantasy falls apart when I think about how do I get those books from there to now.
That's the thing. What you'd have to do is you have to buy. Look, I've thought of this. You've solved
the problem.
You find a bank, right, that's still in this. I've been around since 1930, at this location or whatever. You buy a safety deposit box, put them in there, and then just go back 70 years later and pick it up.
Hold on a second, though. You would have to pay them for 70 years.
Oh, that's right.
How much is that going to? And where do you get the dough?
Well, you could go to a stamp and coin shop and buy old dollars and stuff and use those to spend. That's a good question. I mean, because if you buried it someplace, I mean, anything could happen to it in 70 years.
No, I'm talking about in the past. How are you buying all this stuff?
I'm taking money with me from the future.
I see. Okay.
Like bills printed in, say, 1927 or whatever, or 30 something or whatever, and use those.
Okay. But still.
So you don't need that much money, right? Comics are only 10 cents.
Well, if you're renting a safety deposit box.
Oh, that's true. Now it's more complicated. Yeah, that is the problem. It's like, could you find like your parents when they were young and go, hey,
well, you don't know.
Hang on to this and give it to your son.
No, that's completely untrustworthy. Yeah.
It's tough. if you can't bring it back with you through the time machine, then yeah, you have to get pretty clever. George LaCour is taking a shot at my Nebraska Cornhuskers, which are now 0-2 and looking pretty miserable, saying Coach Rule won't make it to midseason. He's got an 8-year contract. He's going to make it to at least 5 years, whether they're any good or not at that period of time. They're not going to eat that much money.
George, you bring up a good point. Aaron, I have to ask you this. What the hell happened to Nebraska? They used to be a top team.
Here's what happened. Tom Osborne retired early. He should have hung around for another 5 years because he had the players there. They probably could have won another championship if he'd stuck around. But he wanted to give his longtime assistant the head coaching job, who ended up being a fairly decent coach, but you never do that. The AD should have hired a coach that he thought was. And so then they brought in a new AD who fired this guy because he didn't like the way recruiting was going, even though he wasn't doing as good as Osborne. He was doing okay. And then it's just been a coaching carousel ever since, and bad leadership. You know, they always say that it trickles down from the top. And it's just
it can't just be the coaching. It has to be the whole program. It has to be recruiting and everything.
They had a bad president for a while that wasn't emphasizing football, and they had hired Bo Pelini. They got, I know people don't want to hear this, so I'll make this as quick as possible, but they hired.
I don't think anyone in the chat doesn't mind. Yeah.
Watching me just lose my mind. Tom Osborne became the interim AD after the disastrous guy that they had before that fired Osborne's replacement. And anyway, so he hired Bo Pelini, who was a defensive coordinator at LSU, and he actually was there for 7 years and never lost.
Chat, I apologize for asking this question.
You asked. So he never lost more than 9 games, but he had such a caustic personality that he got into it with the new AD, because Osborne retired again, and then he got fired, and then it's just been a mess ever since. So anyway.
Do you think they will ever get back to their former glory?
I hope. Every year. Now, I'm one of those guys who says, yeah, just wait till next year. Susan Rose, David is taking notes for Graybeard. Ask Aaron about football.
Yeah, Ronan, I was thinking the same thing, that Star Trek has played out. So now just ask Aaron about Nebraska football, and he'll stop drawing, and the hands will start flying.
You can always get me on Star Trek too. This is the other thing too. They joined the Big Ten, and the Big 12, which they were a part of, was a much easier conference.
Okay.
And so that's been also, so they're dealing with all this crap. And anyway, so enough about that. Now you're going to be pissed off again. Okay. So anyway, we're looking at my top 5. My top 5. Okay. Here's number 5. Back to geek culture where we all belong. Okay. Now I could actually maybe finagle a copy of this book if I did it like partially trade, partially cash. What? Oh, you're laughing about something in the chat, no doubt. Quit reading the chat.
I'm just laughing about the title.
Oh, Wiz
Comics. That's my junior high mentality kicking in.
Well, Marvel had a character called the Wizard in the 40s. Yeah. This has the first appearance of Captain Marvel Jr. in it. And it's a 2-part story. The other part of it was in Master Comics number 19 or something. Or I'm sorry, it was like 26 or something. And that also featured the first appearance of Captain Nazi. But this has that iconic. Yeah, Captain Nazi was the guy's name.
Captain Nazi and Lieutenant Fascist.
Yeah, exactly. And Captain Marvel Jr. fought Captain Nazi. But anyway, I love this CC Beck cover.
Okay, I was going to ask you, this is a really solid piece of artwork.
Yeah, that the anatomy, the figure drawing is great. CC Beck was really, really good. Yeah. And you can't say that about a lot of guys in the 40s.
No.
But he was. And so I could get like a 6.0 of this for probably about $5,000.
Oh boy. But for a 6.
Yeah, well, it's fine condition.
Okay.
And you find a Golden Age book in a fine.
The more I look at this figure, the more it reminds me of Brohawk.
David Williams is ripping off CC Beck. Look at that. David says the Wizard had a piss yellow suit too.
Of course he did.
Colonel Kami, I love that.
Yeah,
Captain Nazi and Colonel Kami. That's good. I like that. But yeah, so I would actually, and I'm still trying to figure out a way to get one of these, copy one of this.
You're trying to figure out how to con Shelley.
Well, no, I can't even bring myself to think I would spend. I spent $3,000 on a Frazetta Buck Rogers book earlier this year that I had to pay off over several months, but 5 is really pushing it. I would have to
So you haven't reached that level yet. You're still concocting a scheme just to come up with the dough. And then the second tier to that plan is convincing Shelley that you should do it.
If I could say like trade $3,000 of the books and pay $2,000 cash, that's something that is doable. But $5,000 cash,
that's a lot of dough.
That's a lot of do-re-mi, brother.
Yes, sure it is.
Anyway, so that's but that's actually something that is within reach, sort of. Now, now this one is not within reach, but it's too cool. I'm not a big DC guy, but this is one book that I'd have to have. Now, Bob Kane takes credit for this cover, but I don't really think he drew it. Do you?
Yeah. It's probably the guy. What's his name? Help us out, chat. David will probably know.
But was it? Well, Bill Finger was a writer. He was an artist. You thinking of?
There was a guy that.
Yeah, it wasn't Jerry Robbins. This is too early for Robbins, wasn't it? Or Jerry Robbins.
I'm just wondering what happened to that chick with the broken spine.
That fascist. That's Captain Kami down there.
Yeah.
This is such a great. Neil Adams redid this.
Cover. He's got Sarah Palin under his arm.
Exactly. Let's see. Arrow and Sounds. I'm seeing if
that's true. Neil Adams did recreate this. I did a recreation of the Neil Adams recreation.
Well, so you did a recreation of the Neil Adams recreation of this.
Yes.
Paul Taylor says, Aaron, you show this cover a lot. I do because I like it. I actually think this is one of the greatest covers of all time. Just in design and it's not that well drawn, but the design is fantastic. And for the era,
what I don't understand is Batman isn't that tall.
Are you confused by the metaphor here, or the what do they call it?
Yes. Yes, Batman is like. Is that the story? Is that Batman eats like some magic beans and he grows 60 feet tall?
That's exactly it, Gary. How did you? Wow, I never
see without reading the story.
You don't even have to now. David Brohawk Williams says, Paul Taylor, the blue in the Wizard's suit represents the state of his balls.
Oh,
God. Like good old
all symbolic.
Yeah, it all means something. All right, number 3 on my list. Might as well just bring David in. He can say his get his jokes in on screen here. This is Marvel Mystery Comics number 9, the first showdown between the Human Torch and the Submariner. So you have a battle of the elements, as it were, Gary.
That's a pretty good concept of fire versus water.
Yeah. And I've actually held this comic in my hands. So my friends at Bedrock City had a copy of this. It was graded. It was like a 6 or 7.
Can I touch it?
No, and so I know I actually walked behind the counter and
Why they weren't looking?
no, they invited me to come back.
You're doing
And
that W.C. Fields gag. Hey, you kids, get down from there! And then while their attention is diverted.
exactly. And so the 50 grand was what they were asking for this.
Wow.
And this was 4 or 5 years ago. So I don't know where it's at price wise
yeah,
now.
yeah. So what's going on with that subway girder? Is he twisting it? What's he doing?
Yeah, because Submariner used to be kind of a bad guy.
Right, he was a villain.
And then when the Nazis showed up, he became sort of, he was still a bad guy, but he was always about protecting Atlantis, right? So the Nazi threat, of course, threatened Atlantis as well as the whole world. So he fought these Human Torch.
Yeah, that Nazi pollution is what they had to beat with.
Right. But at this period of time, this was probably 1940, maybe 39. And so we weren't officially in World War II yet. So he was a villain.
Paul Taylor is this true? That the torch burned off Namor's wings on his feet and then they grew back? I mean, wow. that's pretty cool.
I think it actually is true.
I bet the comic book fans lost their minds. I'm like, what?
22 thrill-packed pages. You can build on that for your campaign, Aaron. That's what I'm going to do. 22 thrill-packed pages. That's it. That's all you're getting for $25. But they'll be thrill-packed.
Yeah, every page has to have at least one thrill on it.
Look at you all, but you also got, here's the thing, that's just the 22-page fight story for them. You also got Kazar in here, Electro, the Angel, Ferret, and other features. So these were like 100 pages or more of story for 10 cents.
Hold on a second. There's a character called Ferret.
Yeah.
What do you want to be when you grow up, Billy? I want to be a superhero called Ferret.
Well, go ahead and make fun of my Golden Age dream books, but let's take a look.
The cover artist, is that Everett?
It might have been, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. Bill Everett, of course, created Submariner, but I don't know that he did that cover. Here we go. And I don't think it was Schomburg. Speaking of Schomburg.
Done.
Okay. Here is my second favorite. And of course, I've shown this one and talked about it a lot. This is my favorite Alex Schomburg cover of the Golden Age. Again, huge characters, central focus. Most of his covers were just radically busy, and they lacked focus, even though they were cool. This one, I think, is just really, really dynamic and just a great concept. Again, giant superheroes.
But these are okay. You mocked me before. They're actually giants, because look at Submariner holding up the.
Yes, but it's more of a it's more metaphorical of them. Just
well, they cross that line though, because he's holding up the drawbridge.
No, I agree, but again, it's just a fantastic interpretation. They're not giant in the comic.
Now I'm really confused.
No. See, they're not giant in the comic, Gary. It's just on the cover.
False advertising.
They're just trying to get a 12-year-old to buy this book. That's all they care about.
Yeah, I would have been really mad when I bought this book. We're the giant superheroes.
Did you know that that he lived in Newburgh, Oregon?
Who? Everett?
No.
Namor?
Yes.
No water in Everett, Oregon.
You put me on the spot, and I just forgot his name. The artist.
There's a body of water in Everett that I don't know about.
Oh my gosh, Marcus, jump in here and help me. Who did I just say the artist was who drew this? I can't believe it.
Oh, Schomburg.
Schomburg, thank you. Yeah, Alex Schomburg lived in Newburgh, Oregon.
Really?
Yeah, and I did not know that. I found out after he passed away, or I would have gone down there and invaded his home.
Banged on his door. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like they used to do back in the old days, right?
Yep.
Anyway, so I'll select number 1 because of this fantastic cover with giant superheroes on it would be my number 2. And here, of course, is my number 1 choice and my top 5 Golden Age books. I love the dramatic music. It just really creates
I
anticipation.
like it too.
How could it not be this?
Look,
In fact,
is Bucky a giant in this story?
And how come there's these tiny Nazis back there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, that's got to be the iconic Captain America image of him punching out Adolf.
Yep. Well, in fact, if you said you could have Action Comics number 1, Detective 27, which of course is the first Batman, or this, and not for resale, but just to keep till you die, I would pick this book. This is the one I would want to have.
So what's the price tag on this one these days?
In near mint's probably around $1 million. Well, if you think of Action Comics, and probably actually a little bit over $1 million. But if you had Detective 27 in near mint, and you had Batman, or pardon me, Action Comics number 1 in near mint, and this near mint, Action Comics number 1 would probably, a 9.0 copy, I believe, went for $3 million. Now somebody owns. Now I know somebody who knows who has it, but the guy wants to remain anonymous. But he actually has the Mile High copy of Action Comics number 1. It's not graded, and it's supposed to allegedly be like a 9.4 or a 9.6. The guy has it in his safe, whoever this guy is. So a 9.4 or 9.6, that would probably put that in the $10 million range, would be my guess.
He has a time machine, and he went back and bought it mint, and then rented a safe deposit.
No, he bought it in the 70s when they discovered the Mile High collection. And you know the story behind that, don't you, or do you not?
I have to choose my answer carefully here.
Edgar Church was this commercial artist who worked in the 30s and 40s and 50s. And when comic books came out, he thought, well, this is the new thing. I better stock up on this. And he bought all these comics for like years and never did anything with them. He just stacked them up. His intent was that he was going to cut them up with scissors and make swipe files out of them. You remember those, right? And he just never did it. And he lived in Colorado, and he had these comics in his basement, and the temperature was just perfect conditions for long-term storage. And so these books were just stacked for 40 years, 35 years in his basement.
So he didn't buy them to read. He bought them for
he thought
reference, but he never got around to.
Right. And so they just sat there. And then he contacted some guys, Mile High Comics, and in the early 70s, and said, I got this collection I want to sell, and I want $2,500 for it, and no negotiation. So they went and looked at it, and of course they just, their jaws dropped when they found what it was. And so they bought the collection with help from another investor, because $2,500 for a comic shop owner back in 1972 was a lot of money. And then they started bagging and boarding these and putting them in with certificates of authenticity and stuff, and then selling them off. And they're still to date the nicest collection of Golden Age books ever. So like if you have like a Mile High copy of any particular book, it's the nicest copy in existence. So
that's crazy.
A lot of them have like white pages. I mean, they're just like can you imagine a 9.6 of something from 1941? I mean, that's what people have. It's just unbelievable. So anyway,
that is crazy. Yeah, I remember a story, a Comic-Con I went to years and years ago, and Bill Gaines was a guest, and he told a story at a panel that his father used to work for a comic book publishing company that published Action Comics #1.
Mm.
I don't remember the name of the company, but he worked for that company, and his father brought home a box full of Action Comics #1 because it was that was like a feather in his cap to be part of this comic book. And so Bill said that when he was a kid, they were lying around all over the place in his house, and he literally had to like move copies off the couch so he could sit down. Isn't that insane?
And he didn't save just one of them.
No, he didn't save any of them. No.
Oh gosh, that is nuts. Oh, that, the closest thing I have to something like that is DC Comics. I did a Wonder Woman story, one of the last things I ever did for DC. In fact, I think it was the last thing I ever did for DC. It's like a 10-page story that was used in something. And they came out last year, I think it was, with basically just a comic book to showcase Burbank, California, right? Like a tourist book, but it's a comic book. And they reprinted this story that I drew in this book. So they send me, I got like 25 copies of them, right? All in near mint. I'm in San Diego this year, and I almost brought them, was going to sell them for $5 a piece, but I had too much stuff, and I thought, I run into this guy who has a copy of it. And he goes, I bet you've never seen one of these before. And I go, well, actually I have. I got a box of them at home. And he's like, you're kidding me. He goes, these are going for $500 a piece. And I'm like, what? And so I got a box of them down there. They're all like, near mint condition. The DC just sent me a box of them from the printer. And I've been meaning to get a couple of them graded and throw some up on eBay. I just haven't got around to it yet. But yeah, so $500 isn't exactly, 10 million, but,
Put those in a safety deposit box.
It's right now.
And prepay for 70 years.
And my grandson will be able to go.
Right. That's right.
Just Kevin Ryan says, my godfather, Alan Jepson, former mayor of Milford, Connecticut, grew up in Bridgeport, where Action #1 was printed. He bought it off the rack new. Oh. Well, what's amazing is that there's people that at that period of time that were aware enough to take care of them, thinking someday this will be a valuable collectible, because you wouldn't think there'd be 70 years later, right? Or it's more than that now, isn't it? 1939. So almost 90 years, almost 90 years that you'd be able to find a near mint copy of that book laying around, but there are some copies. So anyway, that's my top 5 golden age. Now let's take a look at Gary's top 5 campaigns. He only has one, so it fits all the categories of top 5. Let's see how we're doing with Brush with Destiny.
Not Bush with Destiny, Brush.
That's right, Brush with Destiny. In case you're joining us late, this is Gary's art book campaign that is on Fund My Comic right now. You'll find the link in the description of this video. Take you right there. It's an 8x10, 8x11, 8x10, 8x10 paperback full of tremendous black and white illustrations by our own Gary Martin. That's why he's on this show, to pimp this book. I'm gonna roll the refresh here, and let's see if we got any action. Oh, you're over 3,000. All right.
See, that's satisfying when we set the goals low.
That's right. Well, you guys, make sure you back this book. It's what is it? How many pages is it again? 112 pages.
112 and counting.
So it's chock full of artwork like this.
And every page is its own splash page. There's only one. I don't know how to, I keep saying this awkwardly because I could put one piece of artwork on one page, but it could be a little tiny panel, and that would be a ripoff.
Right.
So there's a single image on each page that fills the page.
There you go. So you're getting every inch of that 8x10 inches. And so you did, some of these are recreations of other artists. Some of them are original concept portraits.
Most of them are originals. I only going to have a small section of about 20 pieces of recreations.
And are you going to, as you can see, Gary had on here his Art of Comic Book Inking book, but he sold out. Now, you said you had some damaged ones that were dinged, like the covers were dinged, but the interiors were okay?
Those are already spoken for.
Oh, those are already sold too.
Yeah, I mentioned those, and several people reached out, and so those are all spoken for. So I don't have any more copies left. And yeah, so that's, well, again, seriously considering after this campaign doing, while my hope and goal is while I'm working on my graphic novel, because this campaign was successful, then I can do another campaign of the inking book. So the inking book would be after Brush with Destiny.
Right.
While I'm busily illustrating the Astro Gal graphic novel.
Excellent. Not the Astro Chimp. We got to make sure that's clear.
Yes.
We don't want any confusion. So anyway, there's some really great stuff in this book, you guys. If you're fans of art, especially black and white art, get in there and back Gary on this. This is going to be a. Did I back this already? I should have. I can't remember if I did. I'll have to go check. But yeah, back this book here today. Let's show Gary that there's really a lot of love and admiration for him in the chat.
And you don't mind looking at black and white artwork.
That's right. Paul Taylor's sucking it up, and he's going to do it anyway, even though he usually demands color. This is 112 pages.
Correct.
Somebody's asking in the chat there.
And it's going to be at least, I put in 8x10. I'm still working the printing details out. It'll be at least 8x10. There's a good chance it'll be larger than that.
So he's been asking how many pages like 10 times now. Hey, well, I told you it's 112, man. There it is. Test Chimp's helping me out. 112. Aaron, how many pages is that? 112. Paul Taylor says, even if you're not a great fan of black and white art like Paul is not, Gary's at the top of his field, so therefore you got to suck it up and go for the black and white. So are you guys telling me if I published a black and white Savage Tales type magazine that you wouldn't buy it? Is that what you're telling me? Because I don't want to hear that. I just don't want to hear that, because I'm thinking about doing that, and I really want to do that with different artists and writers. You guys wouldn't buy that?
That would be awesome. I'd buy it.
See, Gary would buy it. Anyway,
there's not enough black and white stuff out there. That's one of the reasons why I love the artist editions, is because you can see the artwork in its purest form.
There you go. See, Brian, and $9.99 is on board with us. Black and white is great.
But it's, it's artwork meant to be seen in black and white. It's not artwork meant to be seen in color in black and white. Right.
Repairman Jack says sarcasm right over his head. Nothing goes over my head, Repairman Jack. So that went right through you. So ask Graham about doing an anthology. Yeah, I know it's a pain in the butt, but that I would be very selective about the guys I would use to make sure that I didn't have any issues. And then you're still going to have issues, but at least, I got it all worked out, Marcus. I got it all worked out. Okay, yeah, because nobody's buying black and white stuff. People bought the Turtles, and that was black and white. Remember, there was a black and white boom in the late 80s. People were all over that stuff. Radioactive black belt hamsters, adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters, excuse me.
Aaron has to fund his, what was it, the Whiz Comics?
That's right. You guys help me buy Whiz Comics 25. Aaron can do no wrong. We would love your black and white. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Paul Taylor again. Okay, we talked about this, Aaron. I'll buy it because it's you. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. Yeah, Don Chin, our own Don Chin, was the creator of adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters. Actually, Gru was not black and white. Gru was color. And that was released through first Pacific Comics, and then later Marvel picked it up through its Epic line. So there. Anyway, okay. Anyway, you guys, the link is in the description of this video for this campaign. Make sure you go there and back it. I don't think you'll be sorry. Also, my sign up for the Kit Carter graphic novel is now live. So sign up. Just put your email in there. It gets you a free David Williams trading card when you order. And Wraith of God Blood Hunters is closing out in a week. So if you haven't backed that, get in there and back it before you run out of time. And all those links are in the description of this video. So, excuse me. There you have it. We'll check this one more time here before the end of the show. But let's move along now, Gary. We've got more fun stuff to do that I'm sure you can't wait for.
Before you get on to your next thing, Dan Lawless asked me about these.
Yeah, let's take a look at them. I'm going to make you big. Now tell us what you've got here. Oh, look at that.
This is a commission. Someone commissioned me to do a Muka style portrait of his two daughters. I don't do color that often. Color scares me because there's no room. I mean, you can't fix everything with whiteout. You pretty much have to not make any mistakes. So this is like 16 by 20, so it's big, and it's watercolor and a little bit of gouache. And I showed that on Graybeard's, I think, the finished version.
No, actually, you didn't. Oh, that one, yes, not this one.
I showed the inked version of this.
Oh, look at that! Beautiful.
This is the sister.
What kind of paper is that?
It's heavy Bristol.
Is it smooth or is it got any tooth?
It's semi-smooth. There's a little bit of bite to it. Yeah. I don't like super smooth paper.
Okay.
So there's a little gouache here, and it's mostly watercolor.
Very, very nice.
So these are, like I say, these were commissions, and I have to go to a printer to scan them. My scanner won't handle anything this big. And then package them up and send them off. So setting up large artwork is always problematic.
Yep.
Especially, these pieces weren't cheap. So I'm really nervous about shipping these. And
I'm sure the guy's going to be like thrilled to death with those. I mean, they're just beautiful pieces.
I took photos of them and sent him pictures, and he's pretty happy.
I would guess so. All right, excellent. So I'm going to show. I got this little segment I call "Precious Moments" from yesteryear, and I take a little clip from something that may be from TV or movies or something that maybe we might remember as kids. So everybody, watch your monitors. See if you remember this little gem.
So he got hit in the back of the head with this plastic frisbee that was going like half a mile an hour.
That was the Captain America TV movie, I believe, featuring Red Brown as Captain America. Woo! Wow. That's good stuff right there.
Yep.
You don't get entertainment like that anymore, Gary.
No.
And those are the things when we were kids, and it was like, oh, remember the Spider-Man television show with Nicholas Hammond, I believe, was the actor, and we were just so thrilled in the Hulk TV show to get anything that was like from comic book related onto TV, and it was so lame.
Well, I mean, yeah, we were starving for that stuff,
Yeah.
and we knew it was crap.
Yep.
I knew it was crap, but I didn't care. You know,
Yeah, that's true. Because we had nothing to compare it to. It was either this or nothing, right? So you took this, made the best of it. Well, actually, the Hulk show was a pretty good show. I always liked.
No, the Hulk show was crap.
You didn't like the Hulk show?
Oh, are you kidding? Roy Thomas.
Make me angry, Gary.
Okay, let me.
I'm angry.
I'll tell you this little story, then you be the judge.
Okay.
You may have heard this before. Roy Thomas tells a story that when they were making that series, he was the Marvel, expert consultant, whatever his title was. And they did the first episode or the pilot or whatever. And Roy was living in, working at Marvel. So he was living in New York, and he flew out to LA to watch clips of the Hulk running around. He hadn't seen it yet. And Roy hated it. He hated everything about it. But he liked the color green that they painted blue. He liked the green. And so they asked him, what do you think? They're all proud, and he's like, well, you got the green right. And they said, well, actually, we originally made him gray. But it didn't play well, because this is color TV. So we thought, well, he needs to be some kind of color. So we decided to make him green. They didn't even look at the comic book to see what color he was. So enough said about the Hulk TV show, okay?
Yeah, but I thought I always liked Bill Bixby. I liked the TV shows he was in, like The Magician, and I liked it. Sorry. And Citizen Rona does too. In fact, he's saying kick Gary off the show.
So my make the Hulk green story didn't convince you?
It's because Roy Thomas didn't like it. I mean, Roy,
Well, the point is that Roy Thomas didn't like it. The point is they didn't look at the comic book to see what color the Hulk was.
I know, I get that, but it's like, it's TV. You just kind of took it for what it was.
It's TV.
I like it. 70s TV. I like that show as a kid.
Is that a get out of jail free card?
Right.
So, yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I was speeding through a school zone, but it's TV. Okay. Case dismissed.
Not on 70s TV. It must be okay. No, I'll give you that though, because I will admit I did go back and rewatch like some of the Night Stalker episodes with Kolchak,
Right, yeah.
They suck. That show sucked. And I loved it as a kid.
All right, well,
sucks.
We're on the opposite end of this argument. I still like those. I still like them, yeah.
Gary, they're so boring. There's like 15 minutes of monster, and
I just like the Kolchak. I just like the Kolchak character. Just him running around and his stupid,
No, I'm getting
hat
and show. No, I'm getting a. Now, I went and watched a couple of episodes, but the one that sticks out as being the worst was he went on some Love Boat cruise, and there was a werewolf on there.
A werewolf on the boat, yeah.
And you get like 5 minutes of werewolf at the end, right? And through this whole thing, there's this woman hitting on him, right? And he's rejecting her advances. Why? I don't know. He's not married. He has no girlfriend. I would think Kolchak would take anything he could get. And rejecting this woman, right? But then he starts to incorporate, and she starts helping him solve this mystery, right? So the whole episode is this dumb anti-romantic thing that's going on between these two. You get 5 minutes of werewolf at the end. And then when he leaves the ship, right, you're waiting for that moment where they're like, well, thanks for your help. But, him saying, I could never date you because I'm too involved in being a monster hunter or whatever.
I remember this. I
He just
remember thinking the same thing.
disappears. He gets on a cab and drives off.
And he leaves. Yeah, there's nothing. It's like, what about the girl? Yeah.
Yeah, you've been
There's
with her for the
nothing.
whole show, and
Right.
there's nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I
just
remember that.
oh gosh.
But
Anyway,
Darren McGavin, I always liked Darren McGavin.
so did I. But this
Yeah.
show, the problem was it was just tedious and it wasn't well written, and it's supposed to be a monster show, and there was like. I mean, the endings were always great. Like the zombie one, when the zombies were in the junkyard and he tried to put salt in the guy's mouth and sew his lips closed.
Yeah, that was super creepy.
Yeah, but that
He's
was like
lying
the
on
last
top
10 minutes
of
of the show.
He's in the car, lying on top of the zombie, sewing,
Yes,
pouring
yes.
salt in its mouth and sewing up the lips. That was
Yep.
super creepy. Yeah.
Right, but it's the agony 45 minutes to get to that point.
Right, yeah. It should have been a 30-minute show. Yeah.
Yeah. Citizen Ronan says Kolchak ain't got no time for chicks.
That's right. He's all about the monsters.
As a kid, Night Stalker scared the hell out of me. Rewatching now, not so good. No, not exactly. Even the best episode, which was the vampire pilot in Las Vegas, isn't that great because again, there's not enough stuff.
Not enough vampire, but the vampire parts in that were good.
Yes,
but it was way too much of, and every show pretty much his editor Simon Ward, I think, was his yelling at him, Kolchak, you're crazy. I mean, that's pretty much every show was that.
Eric the Guapo says, "Don't kick Aaron. We need someone to laugh at. Laugh at this." Oh, there we go. All right, Gary, you've got some more artwork sitting here that we want to take a look at. So let's take a look at that. Oh, wait a minute. I want to get this in here just because it supports my opinion. I love that show too. I tried to watch it again. It was horrible. Thank you. All right. Okay, Gary, what are we looking at here?
This is one of the recreations that will be in the book. I've done a couple of Neil Adams recreations, and Neil is a great artist to study when he's inking himself, because he's got a very unique way of doing contours and real delicate interior lines. And Neil will like put real heavy contours on parts of the figure that don't make any sense to me. They don't follow any rules of lighting, like as an example, that real heavy contour next to his right ear below that dialogue. Look how heavy that is. That doesn't make sense to me. It's too heavy for that.
Yeah.
But Dick Giordano told me, and Giordano worked at Continuity, and he inked a lot of Neil Adams. And when he was giving me his talk about, basics of inking, he said that if you break comic book art down and inking comic art, it's a coloring book. When you look at a coloring book, the interior lines are thin and the contours are heavy. And that's what Neil does here. That with that heavy contour line, figure pops forward.
Right. And
he used that really well and very effectively in his work. You look at the Superman Muhammad Ali cover on that Treasury. Neil inked that cover.
Yeah.
And just look at his contour lines, and they're strategically placed. It's not haphazard.
Interesting. He would be emulating his ink style would be, I would think, difficult, because it is very, like you said, it's loose, it's haphazard, and yet it's sort of with intention at the same time.
Right.
But he doesn't necessarily follow any norms or any sort of rules that you would normally bring.
Exactly. And if you look at his Ben Casey newspaper strips, it's the same kind of thing. It's like me as a young artist trying to learn, looking at that stuff, I couldn't figure it out.
Right, because there's no, there's no process that steps that he's following every time.
Right.
Makes it, that makes it challenging. It's just you're winging it,
Yeah.
Okay, what else you got?
Let's see, something completely different.
Oh, Kirby recreation. How about that?
This was a piece that he was commissioned to do for, I think it was a football magazine. I can't remember the title of it. And he did a couple of these illustrations. So this is like Kirby's vision of gods playing football.
I wondered what that spaceship was floating around up there. And I go,
yeah, that's the ball. Yeah. I mean, isn't this insane? It's pure Kirby, and that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is like, if you want to break down the essence of what Kirby is, this piece pretty much says it.
Yeah. So this is going to be in the book.
Crazy.
And let's see what else. Something completely different.
I'm going to address this real quick. Off the Grid, elevation 9,000 feet. Says, anyone ever collect Wasteland comic series? Garbage Man was originally titled Wasteland until I found out that there was another Wasteland and we couldn't use it. So then it became
interesting.
There you go.
Marcus got this NFL Pro sold at the games. Correct, Marcus. Thank you.
The 70s and 80s. How about that?
Yeah. So this one, obviously, Al Williamson.
I was going to say, is this Williamson or is this Raymond? But it's Williamson.
It's Williamson, yeah. This is Williamson doing Raymond.
Yeah, basically, yeah, that's absolutely
yeah.
right.
And in those days, Williamson had this. The only word that comes to mind is an elegant ink line.
Yes.
It was magical.
Mm-hmm.
He lost that line when he was inking for Marvel. And I think because he was in this high production mode. But when you look
he wasn't inking like this. No.
Right. When you look at his, what's that comic strip that he did? I'm thinking it's not Rip Kirby, it's X9 or something like that.
Yeah, X9. Yeah, X9.
So X9 is same kind of elegance to that work. And that was my goal in recreating this piece, is try to mimic his elegant lines, and it's a great exercise. Artists that have mastered certain line qualities to try to mimic them and incorporate those qualities into your own work. Okay, let's see something completely different.
Is that Tim Truman?
No.
It's not a Tim Truman character. Isn't that Scout or something? Or is that just
no?
Okay.
It's Mobius.
Oh. I guess it is. I'm looking at closer at the line work, and yeah. I immediately thought of Scout, Tim Truman's book.
Yeah. You can see the Mobius.
Yeah, that's Mobius, yeah.
Yeah.
Now that, again, everybody, Gary's doing this with a brush. These are not pen. This is all
right.
brush.
Mobius was a pen guy, and he did his original piece in pen.
So you're trying to mimic pen lines with a brush.
Trying to mimic Mobius's pen techniques. And he had a distinct way of rendering lines, and I'm trying to copy that crispness with my brush.
That ain't easy. Off the Grid, elevation 9,000 feet says, I subscribed and liked. Well, thank you. You're new here. We appreciate it. Please be a regular. We're a pretty safe crowd most of the time, unless you piss me off, then you get cannonballed. But it's all in good fun.
That's it.
Okay. Well, Gary, we've come to the portion of the show that everybody always waits for, and that's...
Is that why you leave it for last?
I leave it for last. It's like I've said this before. It's like doing a news broadcast, and you always leave the sports till the end because you don't want people to hear their scores and then leave. So here we go. You said we're gonna look at cryptids, some cryptid videos here in a minute. Shut that dog up.
Dog's waiting too.
You said you had a Bigfoot story.
Well,
We were at Graybeard's. I wanted to hear. I'm not that you. I'm not guessing you saw.
I think
something.
I said I have something to say about it. I don't.
Okay, well, okay,
I have a story.
Tell me what you have to say about Bigfoot. Give me your impressions of a creature of the Pacific Northwest.
A couple of things. I'll try to arrange this in my head. What order do I want to? I'm convinced that there's something.
Really?
Yes.
So you're not a skeptic like me.
I will tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Okay. All right.
The things that bother me bother most people, and you may have talked about some of these things before. The number one thing that bothers me is that there has yet to have found anyone with physical evidence.
Right.
If there were creatures like that living amongst us for hundreds of years, we would have found bones or sinew or hair or some kind of burial site with something.
Right.
Everyone that claims that they have, bones or hair or whatever, they've been analyzed and they're always, that's a elk femur, and that's that's dog hair, or that's bear fur. It's never, we don't know what this is. Okay, so that's my number one thing. Okay. On the other side of it, 9 out of 10 films that I've seen are clearly fake.
Yes. And that's the fun.
Right. I saw a program where this, he's like an engineer, was looking at different evidence from a particular Bigfoot hunter. And you in the chat, or you may, Aaron, have seen this yourself. He was showing different films that this guy claimed to have taken. And all the films were like badly faked. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were like clearly bogus. But he had one clip that was taken like through some bushes and trees where we could see like a Bigfoot type guy walking up a hill, an incline. Mm-hmm. And so you couldn't see, like all of them, you couldn't see the figure very clearly, but it was based on the proportions. It was a tall, hairy thing. But you could tell, Aaron, by looking at someone from far away that they're tall, just by their proportions. Yeah. They've got super long legs and arms. You look at proportions of someone, you could tell if they're short or tall just by this creature or whatever it was walking up this incline, and it was a steep incline. If you look at my drawing table, he was walking up this incline, taking these big steps like this. And the steepness of that incline was such that a human being could not have done that. He was walking up it like it was nothing. And when you're hiking and you're out in the woods and you're going up an incline, it's almost like climbing. You get to the point to where you're almost like on all fours. Yeah. That's how steep this was. And it was rugged. It was rocky. It was, and he was walking up it in these huge strides until he was out of the camera range in literally a few seconds. And looking at that, I don't know how a human being could have done that. Well, if you can find that video again, if it's on YouTube or whatever, send me a link because I want to check it out. Yeah, it's very compelling. So that seeing that, and this was on the same show. This guy was going to these different sites that this Bigfoot hunter was showing him. And of course, this Bigfoot hunter had explanations for everything, but these were all his theories. And I threw all that out the window. But he showed 2 sites. And this was like in the Klondike, or, you know, it was like northwestern Canada, I believe. I could be wrong. Way up in the wilderness where there's, for hundreds of miles, there's nothing. And I won't talk about I'll just talk about this one site where he took him to this area that was in the middle of the woods. There weren't any roads or trails to it. It was literally in the middle of the forest, a thick Canadian forest. Sprinkled in amongst the trees was a pile of logs. There's probably 20 to 30 logs in this pile. And these logs were 30, 40 feet long. And they were piled up like a pile of pickup sticks. They were all like intertwined and, you know, and the branches were stripped off. And they were just piled up in the middle of this forest. And this guy was an engineer that was looking at it. And he looked around the whole area for any kind of trails or roads or anything that could bring big equipment in to tear these trees down and bring them to that one little area and drop them, you know, on top of each other like pickup sticks. There wasn't not a trace of any kind of man involvement in this. So he was baffled on how that was done. And this, of course, this was Bigfoot territory. And this guy claimed that they're Bigfoot, you know, making some statement or, you know, whatever. Who knows? So I'm not saying Bigfoot did it. I am saying there's no reasonable explanation of how it's done.
Well, let's see what I've uncovered for this week, Gary, and maybe it'll change your mind. We'll see. Now, I have shown so many Bigfoot videos on this show that finding them, finding ones I haven't seen yet, is getting harder and harder. So David Williams actually says he did it with his spaceship. So there's your explanation. You wanted an explanation, you got it. All right, so let's take a look at this first one. So anyway, I've expanded this to all cryptids, okay? And that's any sort of unexplained weird creature, so that I always have fodder for discussion. This is a skinwalker, allegedly, probably in some strange foreign country. Let's take a look. I have to turn the sound off because I don't want to get struck, but here we go. Let's take a look at this ghostly vision. So these dudes and bikes are riding by here, and this thing is just walking along. Kind of creepy, but it could be you know, some chick wrapped up in toilet paper for all we know.
It
Or it could be
could be
CGI.
a skinny chick, but that still looks, I mean, that's very gangly.
Yes. So, but I think probably a lot of this stuff.
The
And I don't know
glowing eyes.
how much of this stuff though is done in computer. That's the
Okay.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
But actually, I thought this was right here. It gets interesting because you sort of define the figure a little bit, and it's very interesting.
That's a female, right?
I would
Okay,
think so.
that's a female. That's a female.
This, I think, is fake, but we've watched this one before. I don't know why they keep cutting back to this because it has nothing to do
With that
with
clip. Okay.
the person on the road, except they're just making comparisons. But it gets blurry, right? It starts off blurry, and look how it sort of comes into focus and looks very strange right there.
Yeah.
So, fact or fiction?
See, if this is fiction, if whoever got together to perpetrate that prank, I want to meet that girl. I mean, that's the kind of girl that would be interesting to know that she would do, that she would do something like that. Hey, what do you want to do tonight?
I want a fake cryptid sighting. Let's see. Dan Law says, I just sent you guys a Bigfoot photo through Twitter. Explain that away, Aaron. Well, you're gonna have to wait till the next show now, Dan, but I will check it out. And if it's worthy, I will bring it on. Now this is gross. I mean, this is freaky weird. But apparently this guy's driving up, and as the story goes, saw this thing in the street. And instead of getting out to inquire, he took off. But let's take a look at this video. It looks to me like a naked chick on in the street, but let's take a look here. So this is allegedly caught with his cam, his what do you call it, dash cam. There is some movement. There it is. See, it looks like a girl on, like, you know, has got her arms extended behind her, and then like.
Okay, so she's facing the camera.
But that's yeah. But see, it looks like she's facing the other way. But then now it looks like
No, I see the head and the arms. Yeah.
This guy's freaked out. I love how they cut in these shots of people like, oh, I can't believe it.
So is this the same girl that wrapped up in the toilet paper?
Might be. Now, if you saw this, let's say hypothetically this is real, and you saw this, would you take off or would you get out to investigate?
Well, how do we know the person filming this isn't in on it?
Well, no, I'm just saying this is probably fake. What I'm saying though is that this.
No, I'm just saying that you can't assume that it's a passerby that's filming this.
Right, but I'm saying if you were a passerby and saw this, like they claim to be, would you get out and investigate this?
I would drive up closer and put light on it.
Yep, that's exactly what I would do. I wouldn't get out of my car. I wouldn't
film it from 20 yards away. I'm in the safety of my vehicle. I would get up close and hit the high beams.
Yeah, but I think this guy talked his girlfriend into taking her clothes off and then standing in the street.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's interesting when you think about putting this together, planning it out, and doing it. That, you know, it's not something you're watching Wheel of Fortune and then you go out and do this.
Timmy Mello says, I think I can fix her. Yeah, or she'd stab you while you're sleeping.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's right. We can't. Heat Miser says we can't say it's a female. We don't know what they identify as. That's true.
Yeah,
sure. I should not have done that. Yeah, and this is interesting now. It could be someone on drugs, dicey as whether or not to help, but you certainly want to get closer to find out what you were looking at.
No, I would not open the door and say, do you need a ride?
No, I'd find out. I would see if it was actually a person or something, and then I'd call the cops. But also my guess is, again, I'm not saying this is legit. I'm just saying that if you're in the car, and even though the camera is blurry, if you were that close in your car, you could pretty much see what it was.
Right.
And at that point, you're calling the cops going, there's some naked chick crawling around out in the street out here. You might want to send somebody out here. Oh, okay. But anyway, all right. So now we have Bigfoot hiking. That's what I like to call this video. So we have now a Bigfoot video. Let's see what Gary has to say about this. Nice shot. And look how crisp and clear this image of the woods is. And
all the Bigfoot footage I've seen has been blurry.
There you go.
Yeah, see, this looks like a dude in a suit.
Yeah, it's like you can't.
Then why is it so blurry?
Right. Exactly. I mean, that's the first clue, right?
How old is this clip?
I don't know. I just found it, but that doesn't mean it's not, 10 or 15 years old. I mean, it's not like from the 60s or anything.
Because sometimes it's stooped over, sometimes it's erect.
Yep.
The guy needs to define his character.
Well, that's what I say. I mean, we like to try and give effort grades on these videos. It's like, dude, if you're going to make a fake video, give me some effort. Make me want to believe what you're showing me. Most of the time, it's just like they didn't put enough effort into it. Let's see here. Paul Taylor says that's Malin on a Taco Bell run.
So what's preventing, what's between this Bigfoot dude and the cameraman? What's in between? I mean, what's preventing the cameraman from running over there?
Exactly. And why is a cameraman able to get a pristine shot like this?
Is he claiming that that's where this was taken? I mean, what's with these pictures?
Yeah, sort of. I can't remember exactly. They were cutting back and forth from landscape shots, saying they may have just been, making loose connections between this is the wilderness and here's Bigfoot, but it's not necessarily this location.
OCB reaction says Bigfoot is blurry because he works in Japanese porn.
Well, you know what they say, Gary? They say that Bigfoot's an interdimensional being and he's constantly phasing in and out of our reality, so therefore you can't ever get a focused picture of him.
Well, see, that was the caveat to my skepticism. I think if there is a Bigfoot that exists, he has to be interdimensional. Otherwise, we would find evidence of him.
That's right.
So it's a big if. Obviously, that's a big if, but that's the only way. It's just like if there are aliens visiting us, that's the only way they could visit if they are interdimensional, because they couldn't have a spaceship. It would take them centuries to fly here.
Right. Even at the light speed, no one can travel the speed of light and faster than the speed of light. That would be physically impossible unless you're in Star Trek. It's funny you should bring that up because that's the one thing I liked about Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Like when he was just sort of old before the one he got really old in, is that they were like saying these aliens were for inner space, which I thought was a cool concept, right? Because allegedly there's so much space in between atoms that there's actually, and I always like to, not to get too philosophical here, but I always like to think of, where is God at? What if he's in the space between spaces? You know what I mean?
Right.
So anyway, I just thought that was a cool concept, and I was glad they actually addressed.
Flesh that out. Right.
Yeah, threw that out, and there is a possibility. What? Now I'm getting kicked again? Okay, here we go. So this is allegedly video of a kraken. How about that? You don't see that very often. I'm not talking about a butt kraken. All right. So here we go. Right there. Look at the tentacles out there in the mist. And of course, it's on a foggy day. It wouldn't be in a clear day.
Yeah. And the arms are pixelated.
Yeah. But other than that, but I do like the inventiveness of this. I mean, clearly I'm sure it's fake. Not that there isn't giant squid or octopus, but they wouldn't be at the surface flapping their arms around. Then they have to pad the video with like legends of seafaring monsters, blah, blah, blah. Now here's an actual giant squid that they got some photographs of, which is pretty cool.
Well, how big is that squid? Like 6 feet?
Well, and this one I don't know, but the one that the Japanese explorers caught was like, they had like little, you couldn't tell because it was just a line going down into the depths that the cameras were hooked onto, but they had measurements things on there that allowed you to extrapolate. And I think the one they actually got on film was like 35 feet long or something like that. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And they found remains of giant squids in sperm whales and also washed up on shore. So it's not like we don't have evidence that these things.
Right. I saw a photograph of a giant squid, dead one on shore, and the eyeball was as big as a volleyball.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. So again, I'm with you on the thing is if we can find traces of giant squids that live miles underwater and don't ever come to the surface, how can we not find Bigfoot living in anyway, I'm fascinated by this squid photography. But we'll get back to the kraken out there in the mist there. So,
I think that's as well done as could possibly have been, you know,
Yeah.
whoever did it did the best they could.
Well, yeah, you kind of like you pick a foggy day, or you add some fog in Photoshop, however they did it, so that
Well, you know, the Kraken's not going to surface on a sunny day.
No, of course not. He'd be seen.
Right.
But I do kind of like this because you don't see videos like this very often. It's usually Bigfoot or Skinwalker or whatever. But this guy supposedly,
Yeah, that's unusual. Yeah, when you said Kraken, I thought, what?
yeah, exactly. It's like you don't see videos like that very often.
Right.
Gord Ox Pub says 59 feet is the record for a squid. Paul Taylor's correct, and he's a biologist. He'd know the sperm whale's favorite food is. Well, I think don't the squids attack the sperm whales though? Then they end up getting eaten for their trouble, or do they try and eat the squids? And the squids are just trying to defend themselves. That's why you have those suction marks all over the sperm whales they find. Eric DeGuapo says we can't find Bigfoot because he shaved and wrestles in the WWE under the alias Brock Lesnar. I'm not up on current wrestlers, but I'll take your word for it. Yeah, Dan Law's saying, no, this is totally real. Says, well, Dan wants to believe.
Yeah, we can't shatter Dan's belief in Santa Claus.
Heat Miser says, I ordered Kraken the last time I was at Joe's Crab Shack.
In a bucket.
Yeah, there's data, by the way.
In a bucket.
All right, now this may be the most ridiculous thing. I should save some of these for next week, but whatever. I put a lot of effort into this, so let's share them. Paul Taylor says the sperm whale actually hunts the giant squid. How about that? Cool. All right, now check this out. Now, this is from a video claiming that dinosaurs still walk the earth, Gary.
Okay.
And apparently one crossed the road while this guy was.
Well, I would have to concur. I mean, last time I was at McDonald's, it was, you know. Okay,
this is clearly
that was digital. Yeah.
That was clearly CGI, but you know, it's for effort.
Good effort, yeah. I mean, he even got the cast shadow from the headlamp.
It's nice, but it's when was the last time you were driving at night and a Triceratops walked across the road?
Yeah.
Do you not think maybe you'd go investigate this a little bit further?
Yeah. And no one in the neighborhood saw it, just this one.
Guy's like, something's been in my strawberry patch.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, there you got the Triceratops. I'm the same way. Wouldn't that be cool? I wish that was real. Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Here you go. Wow, real Triceratops, my favorite dino. Yeah, they're very cool. The one in Jurassic Park, in the very first one, it was like knocked down because they'd been eating the berries or whatever, and it was, you know, heavy breathing, and that was created by Stan Winston. That one looked great. Of course, all those dinosaurs look great that they made for that movie. Citizen Ronald says, "Where's the video of the T-Rex chasing it?" Exactly.
Yeah.
Shelley says bread pudding is in the oven. Yum.
Wow.
I know. All right.
We'll see you next week.
See you later, folks. Okay. All right, I got to show this because this is actually a real video of something, but I don't know what it is. Chinese fishermen came across this. So let's take a look at this. Paul Taylor, a resident biologist, perhaps will provide some answers for us. This is an old Chinese guy. We know that.
Okay, why is the film of the fisherman crystal clear?
This gets better though. Look at that. What the heck is that?
No, that's weird.
This guy. Why they cut to
Why are they
this
showing this guy?
I don't know. They're saying there's some kind of whale. Maybe they think it is, but the eyes aren't right.
No. Okay, so that's the snout.
Yeah, and it looks like
You see,
two.
can you go back to the clear picture?
Yeah.
That's odd.
Because I assume this right here is the mouth, right
That's,
there. And this is the jaw down below.
yeah, it's kind of a dolphinish type mouth.
I don't know if that's like a.
Are the eyes closed? I mean,
I'm not
what's
sure
going on there?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe are they maybe on the? I don't know.
That is strange.
Says looks like a weird porpoise.
Yeah.
Green Laser says
This looks a little different than the film.
Yeah, it's like someone got a nice clear shot of it with their camera while the guy filming it couldn't get a decent. Let's see.
So if you go back to the film, I think it's a little different.
Oh, it's very different. It's almost looks. Oops, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I got my layers messed up here. Let's go back. Okay.
Okay, see how clear that is?
Well, yeah, but it's not by this. I don't think it's by the
I
same
don't think
guy.
it has anything to do with this. Oh,
Yes.
okay, what?
See, look at.
Why are they showing the guy with the remote control?
I don't know. They keep cutting in like people saw it on TV, and they, it's just like the dumbest thing. But where is it? Right? Where are those eyes? Right?
Yes, okay, see, they move.
So
it's
are
like
those
they
eyes?
detract like headlights on a.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, see, they detract.
So is this like some sort of fake mechanical thing?
That's weird.
And then we get this, which actually looks real.
It's similar, and it does look real, but it's not the same.
It doesn't seem like it, does it? And this guy is definitely a paid actor.
Yeah.
So they're suggesting it might be this type of whale, but they don't show the face of this whale, so I can't remember what it was called. And here we go. Now it looks more like an alligator.
Yeah, it does look like an alligator.
So
It could be a porpoise alligator hybrid.
Maybe some sort of genetic experiments in a lab. Eric the Guapo is from China, though. Can we trust anything from over there?
Yeah, I was going to say, is that the COVID dolphin?
Paul Taylor saying looks like Photoshop. So if my biologist can't identify the species, then he's going Photoshop. Oh, Lady Ribbit. What about a garfish? I don't think that's a garfish. I've watched enough river monsters. Let's see. Jar Jar Dolphin, they say.
Jar Jar. Okay, yeah.
This is kind of actually interesting. The water is likely polluted, which is really true over in China. It's so polluted over there. It might be some sort of mutant deformed fish or something.
Yeah, but if Americans all get electric cars, we wouldn't have that problem.
That's right, Gary. Of course. It's a crocodolphin. Excellent. I didn't know those existed, but there you have it.
Okay. That's the official title, crocodolphin.
All right. Okay. I've got two more things. I'm just going to show them. What the heck? Why save them for next week? And then we'll take a look at your campaign again. All right. Now this bothers me because this is how they start the video with fakery, but then they show you something that's allegedly real. So we start off with this. Look at that face on that thing.
Yeah. It looks like a Disney ride.
I know, exactly. But watch this.
Numerous expeditions and
oops, turn the sound off. Sorry about that. Okay, so watch this now. Here we go with the real stuff. Run for your life because something's going on back here. And it's not those guys. I love how they show you 2 seconds of a film clip and then they show you like fake dinosaurs to make you believe. But this does look like something.
And it's big. And it has a fin.
That's right. And it's in the Amazon. So
it's not one of those because they don't have fins.
Well, a plesiosaur would have fins.
Yeah, but they're not showing those. They're showing these things.
Right. Because they're dumb. Now, this could be faked. I mean, this could be added in,
Yeah,
but it is interesting
it is interesting.
because that's where you hear all these rumors, right? You go deep enough in the Amazon and there's still dinosaurs, there's still all this stuff down there. And
Well, plus
I mean,
the guy in the boat looks nervous.
yeah, there's definitely something in the water, but who knows what it could be. But I don't know. That's interesting. So there you go.
That's interesting, yeah.
Not a Diplodocus, that's for sure. Now, see, they're saying it looks kind of fake. It could be.
Yeah.
What is that? It's an Arapaima. What is that? I don't even know what that means. Giant catfish. It could be. I mean, those things get humongous, so it's not, okay, let's see. One more. Okay, here's supposedly a Loch Ness Monster sighting, and I have a problem with this, but I'll show you in a second. You may guess the same when you see this. Let me clip that. Okay. Hang on a second. Okay, supposedly this is in Loch Ness. My problem with it is I don't think, look at that shrubbery around the lake.
Yeah, that's not Loch Ness.
Shrubbery like that and around Loch Ness.
That's not Loch Ness.
No. So they're lying about where it was taken. Could this be like the tail of a manatee someplace in Florida, maybe?
Yeah. Yep.
That's what everybody's saying.
And it's not that big.
Right. And
it's not like dinosaur size.
Right. And the fact that they're saying it's in Loch Ness when it clearly is not makes me
yeah.
That's got to be a manatee, right?
Yeah, and that's like no longer than 10 feet. It's probably more like 6.
Yep. Or an eel. Paul Taylor says manatees are white, aren't they? I don't know. You're the biologist.
Manatee type looking creature.
Yes. Looks like a whale's tail. It could be a lot of things, but like I said, the fact that they're telling me that it was taken in Loch Ness when that clearly is not the case, then we know they're lying. Marcus Killigrew said his son studied manatees this summer. You know, it's interesting. When we first moved to Florida to go to CrossGen, we did a visit and checked out the area, and they had these billboards up there saying swim with the manatees. And I was like telling Shelley, when we get here, I am swimming with the manatees. By the time we moved there a few months later, it was 6 months later, they had taken the sign down and there was no more swimming with the manatees. So I never got to swim with the manatees.
So do you know the incident that caused them to shut that down?
No, I had heard that there was it was either because there was too many boating accidents and too many were getting killed because they're drawing them in however they were, or they just passed some law to quit messing with them or something like that, because they were protected. So I think that, or maybe the guys were just con artists that were doing it and got caught. Paul Taylor says, swim with the manatees, get eaten by the gators. Well,
okay, there you. Yeah, that's probably. We're not guaranteeing that you will actually see any manatees, but this is a pay up front kind of deal.
No, there's no gators in the salt water, but what you might run into is be a bull shark, and that would take you out because those are 10 to 12 feet and they're man eaters.
Yeah, I'm afraid of anything called bull shark. It's not a cow shark. This is a bull shark.
I saw plenty of alligators without going swimming when I was in Florida. So, all right, let's take a look and see what Gary's up to in his campaign here. Where is it? There it is. All right. This, of course, is Gary's Brush with Destiny, the ink art of Gary Martin, chock full of goodness, 112 pages, 8 by 10. It's on Fund My Comic. The link is in the description of this video. Let's spin the wheel here and see what it comes up as. Well, we got you a couple more, 3,055.
Yeah, that's
so we're crawling up the ladder.
It exceeded my goal.
There you go. We still got 58 days to go. You guys aren't going to have to wait very long for this because it's other than a couple of pictures that I'm sure Gary will be finished with before this campaign is over.
Yep.
And then it's going to go right to the printer and out to you guys. So not a long wait for this. Looks really, really cool. There's tons of great artwork in here. Big full pages. No tiny stuff in there.
No tiny.
So, and there's original art here for sale.
And also print sets. That's what those little images on the right-hand side are.
Those print set right there that you can get.
10 prints per set.
Barbara Eden, Marilyn Monroe, the chick from Walking Dead, Ripley. I did a portrait of her in pencil. That exact same shot.
How do you go wrong with underlining?
I know. That was a great picture. Anyway, there you have it, folks. That's Gary Martin's Brush with Destiny. Make sure you check that out. The link is in the description of this video. You will also find links to Wraith of God Blood Hunters, which will be closing in a week. So if you haven't backed it, please get in there and do that. And if you want to, which you should because it's free, sign up for the Kit Carter graphic novel. The link is also for that, and that's on Indiegogo, where it's just a sign up. You sign up early and order later when the campaign goes live. You get a free David Williams trading card. But the only way you're going to get that card is if you sign up early. So get in there and just drop in your email so that I have a mailing address I can contact you and keep you updated as the campaign progresses. So anyway, Gary, thank you for being my guest today. It was good fun as always. And we will see you shortly on Graybeard Studio on Wednesday at 1 o'clock Pacific time right here on this channel. We will have the great Andrew Robinson will be a guest artist drawing with us this week.
Is that confirmed?
As of 2 days ago, yes.
Excellent.
So it's Kelsey's week to pick the categories, but as always, it's you guys out there in the chat. It's your job to pick the specific category that we'll be drawing. The poll will be up on Monday at some point, and it's only up to 24 hours.
Kelsey's going to try to make it tough on Andrew.
All he's going to do is probably make it tough on us.
Well, I think he's more worried about, giving something Andrew specializes in.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out what he wasn't good at. So.
He draws everything great.
Right, we should try. That's what I'm going to do next time. I'll take Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, or Skinwalker or something weird like that, and then we'll see who just choose.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys, thank you all for joining us. Thank you for the super chats. I couldn't do the show without your help, without you being here. We appreciate your contributions and participation. It makes it fun. If you're new here, please hit the like and subscribe button to help my channel grow. I guess we finally got over 3,000 subs. That's awesome. So I guess 4,000 is next in my sights. So again, everybody, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time right here on Aaron.